Private Joy. That's right. We got our timekeeper in the house. Look at Kim in the mountains of Western North Carolina for a win. All
Wow.
right. We appreciate your commitment, timekeeper.
Ooh, those some serious mountains in North Carolina.
Dedication.
Them mountains ain't no joke in North Carolina.
That's right. We so appreciate your dedication and commitment, Kim. I hope you have a really amazing time in the mountains.
It would be even more cold-blooded if Kim was getting married and she was doing
I'm getting married today, but I'm still here.
I gotta do my book club meeting.
That would be commitment. Oh my God. We got Andre. What up, though? We got Nick Feldon. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, watch the We Want the Funk documentary while we still have PBS. It's so important to support. We won't go there.
That makes me remind when Obama won
got the boombox.
Somebody had a meme going around
that
this election was brought to you by the letters F and U.
Yeah, when
what's going on?
Ricky, you feel like you got a delay or something? Can you hear us? Yeah, okay. Something's going on.
Yeah, that must have been that drunk filter. Cherry Moon and Christopher Tracy. Damn it, Tricky.
and you know what was brilliant about that scene was that the music was matching, right? The way they was playing Do You Lie was like warped. Yeah. So it was matching that whole drunk vibe he was giving.
It was. That's the one thing about like Prince movies like Purple Rain, and particularly this movie. I would have loved to seen like, I don't know if it's Prince scoring this, like okay, I want to give it this kind of feel. You know what I'm saying? That would have been fascinating to sort of watch him watching the movie and then sort of coming up with this music or placing music in particular scenes.
Let's see. I want to share something, but I don't know if I can. Hold on, let me see what I can do. Open. Let's see. I'm trying to do something on the spot. Hold on, I think I got it. Let's see. Do I have this? Yeah. All right. Okay. This is Kim in the mountains. Reading. That's what I'm talking about. Dedication. All right. Just got it.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
That looks really nice. I need to be in the mountains. I need some R&R. All right. Let me get back to the
love will conquer if you
just
let me play hey, look, I'm gonna start playing. Y'all sing the song.
Okay, we got Sister Charles. We got Christina Schlosser in Minneapolis. We got Tao Safi, Sup Party Peoples. We got Dorothy Edwards. We have 71. We are here before the teachers today. All right. We got TP. Everybody's always here before the teachers, to be honest. And then we got Raywin in the house. We got Chris Bornay. Yes. Great Substack about sinners from C. Lee. If you do not subscribe to psychedelic literature on Substack, you need to be subscribing because you just missed an epic breakdown of sinners. C. Lee, talk to the people.
First of all, thank you, Brother Burnett. Like I said, what I wanted to show is that film is multi-layered. And I think that one of the takeaways from that film is understanding that the blues and gospel were two sides of the same coin. And if you understand that blues and gospel were always two sides of the same coin, then you understand that for Black people, music was always meant to be and continue to be a ritual and a spiritual experience. Our music has been marking time in our entire social political advancement. And so I think that Ryan Coogler does a wonderful job of showing not just blues music, but all of the people in our community who made our music, that they are the griots and the healers and the spiritual purveyors of this thing we call life. And I think that Kugler does a great job in showing that. And the last thing I'll say is, it's also a great movie that warns you about be careful who you let in your community. Because unfortunately, when you let people in your community who only come to rob, steal, kill, and co-op, then often people will profit from your talents more than you will. And I'll end with a Prince quote. Prince said, if you know, we have to own the lion's share of our art, because if you don't own your masters own you. And I think Ryan Coogler does a brilliant job of showing all of that. I'll shut up.
All right.
And man, for those who don't know, me, C-Lee, and Mike are going to the Crossroads. C-Lee is going to take us there.
Brother, I grew up on the Crossroads. I know exactly where it is. I knew not to F around down there. So I knew that. When white people come to class and say, can you take us to the Crossroads? I said, give me $5. They give me the $5. It's over there somewhere.
I ain't fooling with that.
Oh my
Keep
God.
straight, make 3 lefts.
Go down yonder way. All right. We got Purple Cat Confetti all the way from Denver. We got Drea Dances. We got Raywin saying hello to Michael Dean, my homie. And we got LTK saying, I ought to be ashamed how much I prioritize. No, you should not be ashamed. Prince is a priority. So we appreciate you being here. And we have Audra Reynolds and ATLian, and we have Tanja all through the Saturday. And then we have Men Ray 10 in the house. Yes, the price of party on a Friday means y'all got to wake up to your purple family. That's right. We got Barbara White, we got Vanessa, we got Brandy T 720, we got Theo, we got my little brother Blade Brown, we got Elizabeth from Austria, we got El Michelle, and yes, we got a full crew today. Let's get it. And yeah, okay. I love this one. When's the wedding, man? Right. We got 68A. We got you said that's one of my favorite moments. Yeah. All right. So I'm really behind, as you can see. So we're just gonna get to it. See if I missed anybody. Maybe. No, I think I said hello to Nick Felden. All right, let's get this party started, because we have a lot to talk about today, because Prince is on fire right now in the studio. All right, so we are week 18 of What Did Prince Do This Week, and we're going week to week, not day to day. Hopefully you figured that out by now, but if you're a new person, it might take you a moment, and then you can follow a detailed schedule at this bit.ly link as well as QR code. You do not need the paperback version, but this is the most updated version. But if you are an OG reading from the Old Testament, that's okay. That is just okay. That's right. I got to say hello to Karan, who was hanging out with me last night, because we were having a good time watching Law doing one of the most amazing performances ever.
Shout
out to Law. He did a fire performance of The Bird, which was just incredible, with his best friend Errol, who I love. Yes. And Kim is giving a public service announcement. Paperback travels well. But
Mike said, you got the book. I love it. You got the book. You must 6-7 years to write this. No way. Closing time.
Everybody's expecting.
That's right. Third book. Everybody's expecting. You better be good, brother. Let me stop.
Oh my God. Yes. So I haven't heard anything about the Prince musical. What's going on with?
Well, and I was going to say he's not okay. So he's, from what I understand, he's not doing a Prince musical. What he's going to do is kind of like what Prince did. I mean, what Spike did with Girl 6. That he's going to write and create a movie around certain Prince songs, but it won't be particularly a Prince musical. It is that the narrative will kind of be led and directed by Prince songs. So if you've never seen Girl 6, That's from what I understand. That's what he's going to be doing. But if he does that, I'm cool with that.
Who is doing this?
Ryan Coogler.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, it's about they probably announced it like a year or so ago, and it kind of flew under the radar. And the reason it flew under the radar because it was right when all the other noise started bubbling up about was the documentary going to be done, and so that news dropped right then. Of course, everybody's attention went to the whole documentary thing. So,
yes, did. All right, school us. All right, okay. Here we go. One day I will figure out StreamYard. Okay. And then these will be archived at Polish Solid as well as at MDean. If I could get you to just hit that like button, because I'm trying to get the YouTube algorithm to pick this thing up so that we can spread the love of Prince's work ethic, which I think is really important because a lot of people think it was magic when he was working his butt off. And these past couple of weeks and this week as well is a testament to that for sure. All right. And then we have our hashtag WDPDTW. But if you really want to talk to me, use that Gmail because I'm on social media less and less because I didn't know about Ryan Coogler. I didn't know about Michael Dean's parade, like just review. And I'm just all lost these days because I'm not on the socials.
I know, well, you busy teaching classes, so
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Educating the masses on Prince. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Hey. Educating the children.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see how can I crash the class.
Yes. The children were great. We actually did a Soul Train line to end our final class, which was on Wednesday, to Super Funky Califragisexy from the Palace. And one of the students came up and said, I really like this version, which version is this? So I was like, I did my
job. Yeah.
That's all right. Look, if you can reach just one, that's all. Okay, that's the educator thing. If you can reach just one.
You said, now, if you got to talk about which version they like, right? This is the definitive version here. You got them.
Yeah. And also, it's getting rarer and rarer, but all 21 students showed up for the last class, which was amazing.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I was we're really excited. And I gave them we have been doing this interactive trivia, kind of I think I mentioned this, Family Feud. And originally I was just going to give the top 3 teams Prince gifts. But I decided to give them all gifts. And so, but the group who won got first dibs. And I guess the most valuable player, the guy who was just this class literally said, please remove him from the trivia because he was smashing that button. Yeah. He actually got Duane's first book. So I gave out Duane's first book, The Purple Rain Studio Era Sessions. And then there's a little book of Prince quotes, which is I actually have right quick. This little book here. So I gave out a couple of these.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's just like a little book of Prince quotes. Yeah. And they have all the attributions, meaning where the quote came from and the date and all of that. So a couple of them got this, and then I had Prince buttons, and I had a little bear that Tracy had given me with a Purple Rain top on it, and yeah, so I was really excited about that.
Yes, yeah, man, you got to share that Prince quotes book info. Somebody in the chat, you know what I'm saying? Y'all can find it. I'm trying not to order from Amazon, but if
it's just called The Little Guide to Prince. That's what it's called.
Oh, okay.
Guide to Prince.
Yeah, you can get it from thrift. I just searched it. You can get it from thrift books if you don't want to get it from Amazon.
My man, boy, I tell you, boy, I love this community. Boy, folks be on it.
Yeah, that's right. We be doing our Googles, right? Okay. All right. So the estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. That means it is independent. Okay. And community guidelines. We choose to be a community even when we disagree. And then we were playing Andorra from Times Square.
Man, he actually played that live on BET Jazz back when BET Jazz was
really
what
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's on YouTube, man. I know, back when BET Jazz was, I know it was a thing. I remember staying up late one night and said, "Oh man, that's Eric Lee." So he kind of legit. He did his thing on BET Jazz.
Yeah, okay.
Got his props. And matter of fact, I think it's on YouTube. Like that performance. I mean, not the whole bit, but that song of him playing it. It's not a good audio, but it is on YouTube. I think.
I gotta find that.
Yeah, I think I saw one episode. I think I saw either Bunny James was on there or I know what's her name, Michelle Farrell, but I don't think she was on the BET Jazz. I think she was on something else.
Rochelle Farrell, yeah,
Rochelle Farrell. Thank you, Rochelle Farrell. But I think I saw the Bunny James one, and it was cool. But they was trying to go for the ambiance. It was dark as hell. Like I was trying to tune my TV, like, hey, I understand what y'all going for, but damn, can I see the instruments?
So I don't know, Ricky. I miss BET Jazz. This is the first.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the many things I think BET dropped the ball on. But
yep.
I know when it was on and it was smoking, like he because it's like a guy from Richmond was playing bass for him that I know, and he was on there. But yeah. Yep, BET Jazz, man.
And not to belabor the point, they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball on their whole life. If you go back to like 82, 83, I saw Midnight Star, Atlantic Star, Roger and Zapp, Albie Tour. Like all of them was live. Like think about if you go back to 82, 83, and they got those acts, you go into like 88, 89, Albie Shore. I often think about what BET would have been if it would have stayed that course and been the place to see all of the old school and up and coming black acts right there. And again, that's one of those like,
Nick Feldon.
Yeah, you drop the ball and you take the easy reality TV money. And that's I think where BET really, really dropped the ball. That's it. I said.
Yeah.
Well, actually, LTK is saying I knew about BET Soul, but I never heard about BET Jazz.
Well, that's because it used to come on like at like midnight or like 1 o'clock or something like that.
Okay, never mind. I always slept. It was just I shouldn't say this. I had a so back in the day when I was going to college, people used to take something called Vivarin. People take they were like caffeine pills. And people do like Red Bull now, and I never took caffeine pills, but I slept. And so I had a roommate who was just like got upset that I was sleeping. I was like, I'm sorry, but I actually sleep. I'm sorry. So it just okay. We're going to move forward with week 18 of What Did Prince Do This Week. And this is the 121st. That should be first episode, but that's okay. All right, this is what we're talking about for April. Again, Prince is recording for 7 full days this week. A lot is going on. So we got some Kiss dance mix. We got the basic tracking of All My Dreams. We got vocals and overdubs and instrumentals for Fosse Dog. We got All My Dreams overdubs and likely vocals. We got Strawberry Lover overdubs and mix. We got Strawberry Lover voice overdubs. She's just that kind of lady, which is one of my favorite songs.
Just that kind of lady.
That's right. Off of with vocals and guitar overdubs, and then we got All My Dreams vocal overdubs and mixes, and then we got Velvet Kitty Cat. Now Duane has it in here as tracking, but it's really like a re-recording, so I didn't count it as a tracking because he had already recorded a version of it. And then we got New Position mix, All My Dream mix, On the Cherry Moon mix, and an instrumental plus another song, Velvet Kitty Cat, Too Rough, Jealous Girl, Manic Money, America, All Day, All Night, Unknown Tracks, Manic Money, and Jealous Girl. So make a long story short, Prince was working like a job, and they were cutting. All right. Okay. Yes, Theo, I love All My Dreams as well. Yes. Oh, LTK, you got it right. Truck driver. My daddy was a truck driver, so I love truck drivers. I've been in some trucks with my granddaddy. All right, let's see. Okay. Whoop, why is this not working? Hold on 1 second. Okay, so we're going to start off. We're going to do our first reading for Sunday, April 28th, about Kiss, All My Dreams, and a Fosse Dog. Not all at once. So many.
Okay, I'll do it because I got to leave early today. So
okay.
I will jump on out there. You said Sunday?
Yes, Sunday, April 28th.
April 28th. Kiss. Prince vocal and guitar overdubs mix. Kiss dance mix. Probable overdubs edits mix. All My Dreams basic tracking mix. Evolve Dog vocal and other overdubs mix. Evolve Dog instrumental probable mix. Sunset Sound Studio 3. 12 noon to 9:15 a.m. My gracious. Booked lockout. Prince and producer, artist Prince, engineers Peggy Mac Leonard and Susan Rogers. Well, that's whoo. All right, read the quote or skip that.
We skipping it.
We skipping. All right. Cole Johnson said remembers what happens when Prince arrived early for Day's sessions and asked to hear Kiss. I know we played it for Prince, who went ballistic. Went out to the basketball court playing it loud on the Ghetto Blaster. Okay.
Can somebody maybe just for the younger people, what's the Ghetto Blaster?
Ghetto Blaster, aka boombox, aka big ass radio and tape player.
Yeah.
It was probably about they could go from like this wide, about this high. They had a handle on them, so you could actually walk around with them with a suitcase, or the preferred brother way of walking around with them on your shoulder up here.
Radio
like
Raheem.
Radio Raheem, yeah.
They were, believe it or not, as big and as clunky as those things were, we thought that they were as revolutionary as cell phones. Because it became the first time you could carry your music with you in full blast, in full force. So I know you looking at
iPad.
Yeah, you looking at the day, you like, who the hell is carrying that around? But think about it this way: before the boombox, all you had was a big ass stereo at your parents' house.
Yeah.
So the boombox became the first portable. And I end with this. This is my one. Well, not my one, but this is my boombox story. And I don't know why, because they didn't come out at the same time. But I ended up getting Thriller and 1999 cassette about the same time. I put the Thriller cassette in. I listened to it front to back, and I went, that was jamming. That was great. I took the Thriller cassette out. I put the 1999 cassette in. And it stayed in for the next year. So that is
it stayed in.
So, but to end the Ghetto Blaster, the boombox, it was high technology of being able to take your sounds with you. And on the final thing, if you ever saw Do the Right Thing with Radio Raheem, so if you've never seen one, look up Radio Raheem and Do the Right Thing on YouTube, and you'll get a good idea of just how great the boombox was. That's it. I'll say that.
Yeah, and just to throw in there too, I mean, culturally, there's a reason why they call it the Ghetto Blaster, because we was the ones who had that and made it something. It wasn't just a radio. It was like a badge of honor. It was a way of promoting and curating the music that we was listening to, which is probably the most important thing. Like whoever had the biggest one, the loudest one, you almost became the DJ. You became the person who was sort of in charge of what was we listening to. That was sort of the barometer, like what was popping in the streets, what they playing on their boom boxes. So when you see Do the Right Thing, it's not only just a character, but it really means something. You can even tie it into the movie Sinners, but it's just the way that our music, we made it. It was still important, even though we didn't have the whole bunch of money for technology. We could afford one of those, or we got one. However, we got one, and that was so important. Like whoever had the boombox controlled the block, the temperature of the neighborhood. What you playing? Oh, what's that? So it was a lot. It meant a lot. So the fact that Prince, even at this point, when he's paid, he still understands. Like, yo, let me play it on this. And I'm high, his energy, like he said, he went ballistic. That was our energy. That was what, that's how we react to music, and we got to turn it up loud. And when we hear something hot, you put it on the boombox, you put it on the ghetto blast. So it just that thing means a lot. So how it was just kind of thrown in there. I just want to make sure that we really talk about that, because
Yeah.
we're on the front of the music, but we also be on the front of technology in ways that they never even imagined. Because the boombox also brings in the pause tape and early recordings and hip hop.
Yeah.
Things come from that. So it's a big thing.
Plus the boombox was like you know, like if you were breakdancing.
Yeah.
That's what you had, you know, like to dance to and stuff like that. Cause you had, you know, somebody carried the cardboard boxes, somebody had the boom box. And you know, that's what it was like. Seeing cats on like the corner, you know what I'm saying? Like breakdancing, that's what they were using. All right, back to this read.
And I'm glad both of y'all say that, because I just thought about that till somebody, I think it was either TP or Carol, put it in when the Walkman came out. Because somebody asked me this once because I wrote about it and I didn't know when, but I just realized when the Walkman came out was the moment I stopped being a communal music listener. Like the boombox, it was a community gathering. But I remember specifically, and I could never, but it was the Walkman. So I went from being a communal music listener to when the Walkman came out, I stopped being a communal music listener. And I won't belabor it, but that's so a lot of trends, and I do count that to why I probably didn't get into hip hop the way a lot of my friends did, because I became the Walkman allowed me to really isolate myself and develop certain tastes separate and apart from my friends. And so I really do think that speaks to, as Brother Dean was saying, the important role that the boombox played in keeping the community together and having us share those sensibilities. Yeah, I'll shut up.
And look at the movie Under the Cherry Moon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go get the music.
Chicken, my boy.
Our world.
Oh, and you know what? Did anybody catch in that scene when Isaac's bodyguard henchman broke the boom box?
Yeah.
There's just a flash where Chris almost punches homeboy in the back. Like I always wonder how many people caught that scene where Tricky almost punched homeboy ass in the back. And Tricky, Christopher is wrong, by the way. Christopher, hey, I know this mother, you know. So yeah, I love that scene. And I also wonder what that alternate take when Christopher actually punched homeboy ass in the back.
Yeah, they should have had that in the movie. Hey man, I know this motherfucker just knocked my radio down. Yeah, we about to squabble up in this thing.
He should have pulled that scene he had when he punched Jelly Bean from Purple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying, you touch my radio, boy. Yeah, that was fighting terms. All right, okay. So he pretty much said, this is too good for Mazarati. It pissed us off as we had been up all night working on it. Prince took the tape back into Studio 3 and began making his own changes. He quickly eliminated Brown Mark's bass. Boo. It fills up the bottom so much, you really don't miss the bass part, especially if you only use it on the first downbeat, explained David Z. Boo. And added James Brown, Papa got a brand new bag style E9 sus4 guitar chord, as well as his vocals, which he recorded an octave higher than Terry's. David Z asked him what was going on, and Prince confirmed his earlier position on the song. He said to me, "This is too good for you guys. I'm taking it back. I signed the checks." All right.
He was right, though.
He said, okay, the final result of the song was not what he had expected. Tone details how Prince proposed to him. He said, "I like the cuts that you did last night. I want to use it. Of course, you guys we'll get paid for it." We said sure, because we were flattered that Prince would even put something that we did on his record. All the vocal work was done. All the music was laid in already, explains Brown Mark. The only thing that Prince put in was and a little makes guitar sound at the beginning of each stanza of Kiss. He put that in. He put his signature on it, which really changed the song dramatically. With his high-pitched voice, it really added a whole different feel to this thing. because Maserati, they didn't sing it high like Prince. They sang it in a more of their natural voices, and so it was a little different. But the background, everything is all the same when we did it. He said we were playing ping pong at Sunset Sound, and hey, that's the songs that we did last night. But Prince's voice was on it. He's quick. It took Prince less than an hour to put the guitar and his vocals on the songs. They remember Tony Christian. I was credited on background vocals, and I got a gold record, and everything. But I guess I was really naive and new to the business. In this business, you can easily get screwed out of a couple of millions. He didn't ask anybody, according to David Z. Of course, to him, it was his song. He promised all kinds of stuff to make us make this thing happen, but in a way, he didn't consider anyone's reactions. But on the other hand, he did it and it was fine, probably better than if Maserati had done it. I prefer
Probably.
this version to the cool guitar part and all. So he definitely put his thing on it. No question about that. It was like, hey, that was our hit. It wasn't that kind of thing. Maybe Maserati felt that way. I was a producer, so what did I care? Maybe we would have a big hit with it, maybe not. It was so drastically different from Prince's version. His delivery was great.
Skip the next paragraph and go to in the end.
In the end, the basic song was written by Prince without David Z, Coke Johnson, and Brown Mark. The track probably wouldn't have gone to number one on the charts. It would be one of the only times that he shared co-producer credit with anyone on a Prince song, which reflects how much he respected the work done without his input. Despite the new sounds that created by this mix, Brown Mark was unhappy with some of Prince's decisions, including removing bass from the track. He'd done this in 1984 on Say When Doves Cry, but that was no longer the exception. Taking the bass out of music, that was the beginning of it. He started eliminating bass from the music. I don't know if maybe he sensed that I was doing things on the side. I don't know. But I think he was preparing himself for my departure. Ooh, that's where a lot of the tension started between me and him, admitted Brown Mark. From that point forward, our relationship started to disintegrate. Brown Mark dedicated himself to making Maserati the best band possible, but he felt that the way he'd been handled after Purple Rain tour left him feeling undervalued, both financially and as a performer. For now, Brown Mark decided to continue working for Prince, but he would eventually renegotiate a private deal as a freelance band member. It would increase his salary, but he would no longer be a full member of the group. What I learned was that this isn't about the revolution. That's just a name. This is about Prince looking out for Prince. And that's when I realized that his management didn't care at all about us. We were hired help. Woo. Prince appeared to have started working on the dance mix for Kiss using some of the same elements from the original tracks. He also continued overdubbing to the recently recorded Evolve the Dog. He began the basic work on All My Dreams. Both were ambitiously different and stand out from the pop sound of his latest hits. Once again, technology was helping Prince find a new direction, as Lisa recalled. The Fairlight was just inspiration for a writer like Prince and for all of us. There were flute sounds, wind sounds, voice samples, hand clap sounds. We would just build these songs around it. Evolve the Dog was likely finished by the end of the session, but All My Dreams existed as an instrumental. Rough mixes were completed, and the tracks were dubbed to 3 C60 cassettes. The shift ended at 9:15 the following morning, once more wearing down to the engineers by requiring them to stay an extra 13 hours after their shift was to wrap. Status 13.
Whole other shift.
That's a whole nother shift plus some.
Plus,
Plus some. I see the instrumental version of All My Dreams, 6 minutes 54 seconds, remains unreleased. Vocals and a new intro were added over the next few days. The song was considered for use on Parade and in many of his never fully realized projects like Dream Factory, The Dawn, and Roadhouse Garden. Prince also reused a small section of his vocal scream at the start of the 1998 release, Acknowledge Me. The song was eventually included on the Super Deluxe of Sign of the Times in 2020. It's possible that the extended version of Kiss was also started on this day, but that was unverified. You know, I think I think they would kind of being nice. I know reflecting Prince probably was just like, hey, look, I'm taking this. I don't owe y'all no explanation.
Yes. All right. So there's a lot of comments in the chat before we get started. This was like, dude, what happened? You said,
Oh no. Comments in the chat. Okay.
Comments in the chat. Okay, yeah. Got it. So Blake Brown said, Prince hit Brown Mark with the, I'm good for it, man. I got you. And then LTK says, then Prince had the nerve to do the little Mazarati call out on the 12-inch. Don't shout me out on the song. And I think this is interesting from TP. Mazarati saying it like they were bored with it. No,
that is true. Yeah, that is true. Yes, I do agree with that. I do remember.
And I do remember them saying when they first got it, they were completely uninterested in it. Like they worked it up into something. But I remember Terry saying, like, "Hey, what are we supposed to do with this?" Mm-hmm. And credit to them and David Z for working. I want to, give, but when as TP make that statement, I wonder how much of that vocal delivery was them a reflection of them. Like, man, we've been given this song and I don't know what the hell to do with it. So,
I'd like to kind of hear what the bass part was on it.
Yeah, I would too.
Because over the years he's done certain things with it. Like he did the Soul Man, tribute thing, like doing Kiss with it and all of that. Like I wonder what the actual bass line part really was.
So is the bass pop line not on that demo we got on YouTube? Is that because I think there's a YouTube clip.
It is
with David Z that it goes through all of the parts. Like there's actually a clip where this is what it sounded like when we got it. This is when I added this. This is when we did this, and then there's another clip with the whole Mazarati song. And I was wondering, does the whole Mazarati song have the bass and that part where David Z is going through talking about what he added? Is there a part where the bass is added on that part too?
Is that part of the Sunset Sound conversation or a different conversation?
You know what? I want to say that's a different conversation because for whatever reason, the David Z conversation I'm remembering has kind of like the visuals of what like digital tracking, like how it would look if you're adding the things.
Yeah.
And to give the visual to it. And I don't think they did that with the Sunset Sound stuff.
Yeah. So just really quickly, we have a lot of talk about just about this. I know Kim is going to be going like, I'm out in the mountains, y'all going too slow, but this merits a conversation. So I like this comment from Chris where he says, removing the bass from Kiss like he did with When Doves Cry kind of goes contrary to the perception that Prince didn't like to repeat himself. He repeated himself, but in new ways each time. So for me, I would love, again, to hear the bass for this song. One, because Brown Mark's bass playing is phenomenal, number one. But I think it would have been interesting, but I'm curious how you think about this in terms of both Kiss and When Doves Cry, like if on the 12-inch, there would have been like the bass version released in real time, or do you think people would have responded how people responded when they heard the sax added to the Ballad of Dorothy Parker off of the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe? People didn't like that addition, so I'm curious.
Really?
Yeah, like in real time, like would we want to hear those bass lines, or do you think people would have gone like, just leave it alone?
Yeah, well, I would say to me it would be like Around the World, Another Lover, Hole in Your Head. It may not be as an extreme an example, but in terms of there's the album version, and then when you heard the 12-inch, they added some of those horns and stuff. And I thought like the horns was excellent addition to it. It didn't like, at the same point, this all happened in real time. So it wasn't like a 20-year gap between, the song you mentioned, where I think it is a lot more jarring to hear something added to a song in your mind you've lived with for such a long time. But I think if it would have happened in the moment, so if the Kiss version came out, which it did from the album, and then the 12-inch version came out, to me, the 12-inch version added different elements that I thought were remarkable. That makes me not want to go back and necessarily listen to the album version, but it happened all around the same time, and I knew what I was getting. I know he's going to do this on a 12-inch, so I don't think it would have changed it per se. I will say this: in real time, I had no idea that I never even thought the bass. I never even thought to question the bass not being in the song. I would say the same for When Doves Cry. At the time, I never even thought about it. The song was perfect. I mean, the song was such a, you never heard something like that. So it was like, that was the last thing in my mind. I was just like, this guy created another fantastic, infectious song I can't stop singing or playing. That was what was in my mind at the time. And just to throw in there, and I love Brown Mark. We interviewed him, had him on the show. Unfortunately, this is just one of those things when the master come in the room and drop something on it that makes it spectacular. The team is supposed to galvanize behind that and push the leader to the top. I mean, that's the whole reason they're there in the first place, is because of Prince. I know it can be frustrating that, man, that could have been our song, but that song wouldn't have went nowhere. I'm just keeping it 1,000. It would not have been a hit if they put it out. It probably would have went unrecognized, but Prince made it. Yeah, man, like you have to let him rock with that. And to me, it all is about his vocal performance. The way that only Prince can give you that emotion and just everything that I think that the soul of his emotion, that guttural screaming, what that means and what that invokes in people. That's to me why the song is spectacular, because no one would even do that. And then you can hear something in that. There's more to it than him just singing it. That's it's all the shit we've been talking about in terms of our culture, in terms of our heritage. Just the soul and that energy that he's given is what makes it special, man. That's you have to put that out. Like, no, you can't recapture that. That's why I love what they said. He just went in there real quick and said, I'm feeling something. I got this, and just tears it up, man. It's like, you got to let him have that.
I think, I often wonder, like, what made them feel, because in the grand scheme, like they say, like they were hired hands, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, what made them feel as though they were on this level of kind of, like creating stuff and being like, hey, well, this is ours. It's like, no, he's the boss. He's like, he's like the guy. And so, and man, I get it. I know it's probably frustrating, man, for Brown, Mark, and David Z to be like, wow, say we did this, and man, say we get no credit. But at the same time, the reality of it was like, hey, look, you're hired hands. And I mean,
what, just to throw in too real quick, it reminds me of when Tupac came to Death Row, right? A lot of those songs that became his signature songs were songs for other artists already ready to go. The song, one with him and Dre, California. That was a Dre and Zap song. He was ready to put that out. Let him have that. Some of the songs, big songs that he had, they were Dog Pound songs. Now let Pac have that. It's just everyone gathers around who was the chosen dude, and you put your egos and all that to the side, man. You a team. And to me, that's what the Prince thing was, My bad. I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh no, I mean, and plus, I mean, I think I said it last week. I mean, like we kind of forget, man, Brown Mark was like the only band member that was allowed to bring a project in and kind of get it worked on. And I mean, I understand his frustration, but it's like, bro, like he's letting you bring a group in and y'all doing a whole album. And so you, man, tripping on one song.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I agree. I think that it's the. I go back to the party up story, right? Morris had this basic construct, and Prince said, "Hey, I give you some money, or I'll give you a record deal. Which one you want?" And of course, Morris took the record deal. But Morris is always, because I got to actually ask him about that, because I said, "Thank you for writing one of my favorite Prince songs." And Morris was very clear. He said, "Let me be really clear. What Prince did with Party Up was completely different from what I did. Like it is I had at best." And Morris has been really consistent about, he said he had at best what was a idea of something, and then when he came in the next day. So now fast forward to Kiss. So a couple of things. The basic idea was Prince's. Let's not forget that the basic idea was Prince on acoustic
guitar. Yeah.
Then he gives it to them. And so I guess I'm on the fence because I kind of agree with what Brother Dean and Brother Rick are saying, but I guess also selfishly for me as a writer, there is something that's very near and dear to my heart that I did all the writing for and I didn't get a writing credit for, and it bothers me. And I'm not going to, people know I did it. People who know the project know I did it. But every time I see it at the end, there's a whole bunch of names at the end of the damn thing, and my name ain't on it.
Yeah, you don't see. Yeah, you feel some kind of way.
I'm not gonna, and that's a little bit different because the only thing that anybody else did on that was shoot video, and somebody read the narrative. I wrote that damn whole narrative, and so I do understand seeing something that people love, seeing something that went viral online, and people not knowing, other than people in the know, that's your work. And I've tried to check myself. I've tried to check my ego. So I do understand their position from, this is a beloved song, right? Like I think in fact, Brother Dean, I said that the wonderful thing about Kiss, when you guys did that wonderful, brilliant breakdown of Parade, you said that regardless of the movie, regardless of the album, Kiss is that one that people gravitate and know this is a Kiss thing. And so I'm looking at it from their position of this being one of the most identifiable things of Prince. Let me put it this way, I don't begrudge them if they feel a certain kind of way. And I'll just say it that way. I'll shut up.
So I think this is a really interesting comment from TP in the chat. Prince giving Brown Mark the opportunity to produce another act was similar to what Prince did with his first band as a solo artist. The Rebels project was to keep them busy so they wouldn't leave. So do you think that was the case with Mazarati and Brown Mark?
I think that it was maybe that. I think that of all the people of the revolution, I know this is gonna probably blow people's minds. I think that of all the people of the revolution, I think that Fink and Mark were the two that Prince thought he could move forward with. And so, and of course, he did move forward with Fink. So I do think that
I think didn't Brown Mark say in the book that he wanted him to stay?
He asked him to stay. And by that time, Brown Mark had created the deal like, nah, brother, you're going to pay me more and I want a separate, I'm not in the band no more. We're going to have a separate deal. So, Prince, so Fink and Brown
There's a lot
Mark,
going on, but go ahead.
Yeah. They were the two that Prince could see himself moving forward with. So on the one hand, so I'll say yes to what Sister TP is saying, but I'll just add that I also think that Prince saw Brown Mark. Brown Mark had some value to Prince in moving forward. And I think that he respected what Brown Mark was doing with Mazarati, simply because if he didn't, Mazarati doesn't perform at the Under the Cherry Moon opening. Yeah. Right? If Prince doesn't really respect what's happening with Mazarati, they don't get that spot. So I think that it is what TP is saying, Sister TP is saying, as much as he respects what Brown Mark and what Mazarati is doing. I'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, I think after the time leaving, Mark, had already kind of started working, say, with like Mazarati. Plus, he had his ear like to the street. Maybe Prince didn't have that, not like he once had, but because he was kind of like a superstar, like 83, going into 84. And so, Brown Mark was that connection to, like who's hot or who, like who's the hottest band now, or who's doing something that's kind of cool. And so Mark had that connection. And so I think he kind of was like, I mean, like, like what C. Lee said, he kind of respected him enough to be like, okay, Mark's legit. So like, if he thinks this band is worth it, I'm go pull a man in Rockwood, and just off the strength of, him having, say, respect for Mark.
Yeah. And I think too, when they talk about, the money and different things, I think also, this is the time after they have become huge, larger than life. And I can imagine being in that band, you are thinking that I'm on the pedestal with Prince, when I think the realization is starting to hit them that no, you're not, it's the way it's played to the world. And, we had this movie and his album, and it says Revolution, we still don't call no shots over here. And, he's probably seeing Wendy and Lisa. How come are they getting a little more shine and I'm not? There's all of this stuff is going on behind the scenes at the same time too. And I think Prince is still like being Prince in a major way, right? Like he's super successful. And I think if any of them would have had looked at the previous sort of wave they came through with Morris and the time and all that, they probably could have seen like, that could be us. Or maybe that is us, and we weren't. Now he doesn't have the time and Morris and them to sort of give that energy to. It's going to come to me in a way, and you sort of realize, like, yeah, man, I am a hired help. I thought maybe I was supposed to be something different, and I think in Brown Mark's case, he's kind of realizing, man, I don't even want to be in this band if it's like, what I mean. So it's a lot going on, and it isn't just this song. I think it's just the climate of what's they're into it.
No, I think you hit it on the head. And Brown Mark says in the book, and it's a really cold moment in Brown Mark's book when they get their checks at the end. And I'm laughing, but I promise you, when I first read it, I felt so sorry for them. They got their checks at the end of the Purple Rain tour, and Brown Mark opens the check, right? So he opens the envelope and he pulls out the check, and Brown Mark's like, I'm rich, 1.5 million. I'm rich, 1.5 million. And then he took a beat and he looked at the check, $15,000 fucking dollars. And I'm laughing at it.
Say it with me slow.
Yeah, but I can only imagine the fact that you go, I thought I just made $1.5 million. Yeah. And I made 15,000. Now, whether or not I think I deserve 1.5, let me be clear. Whether or not I'm not gonna sit here and say they deserve 1. I don't know. But if you telling me I walk in thinking I'm thinking I made 1.5, and then I get 15,000.
Yeah.
I think that's the moment where Brown was like, bump this. I'm about mine. I'm about my money. I'm about he gonna pay. I don't know what the hell he gonna do with them, but he gonna pay me.
Yeah.
Was it a Petty Prince play in the Cherry Moon movie about the check? Was there deep implications in the check? What is that? Telling me
Chinese.
Telling me if not 1.5.
Yeah, that's I'm sure like that it was a gut punch. I mean, see, man, you realize like, okay, yeah, we not on equal grounds. You know what I'm saying? And man, we got to remember, like, he had been there since like Controversies, so he had been there like for the rise.
Kick for this shit.
Put LTK's comment up, because that's something I wanted to now. And we just went through it, but I just don't remember. Okay.
Go.
But I'm here's always been my thing about Purple Rain.
All right, Ricky.
All right.
Right.
All right, Rick.
Take care, Rick.
Peace, man.
All right, thanks, man. See y'all later.
Here's my question about Purple Rain. How much did they actually play on those songs? Is my question. You see what I'm saying? Like I've often thought that band, well, I don't want to say guy. Again, can somebody give me some numerical, some percentages about when you look at the album Purple Rain? How much of that is all Prince? and where are the rest of the band members filling in? Because
Well, there's
I've
a lot of
always
live
looked.
tracks on that album too, right? I mean,
Yeah, they got, because you get the credit of
yeah.
Prince and the Revolution, but I always saw the Purple Rain album as a solo album, just like I saw Prince as a solo. I didn't really see a joint collaborative effort until Around the World in a Day. In my mind, Around the World in a Day and Parade are as close as you get to Revolution Records. But again, I want to be clear. I'm willing to be corrected.
Well, no, I'm saying, but remember those songs are a lot of those songs are live band songs on the Purple Rain album.
Four out of the 9.
So they are on there, like the most popular, some of the biggest songs.
Yeah, but they didn't write them. See, my question is doing.
Oh, right.
You see what I'm saying? That did you write them? And so even if let's say they played them live, they still would have been. And I hate to use this term, but you're a hired hand. Like you're. That's no different than play this note in the studio. You just played it live. But to look at the creative process, I still look at Purple Rain as a solo record, and I would argue that only Around the World in a Day and Parade, for me, meet the level of a band project. I'll set up to see, because again, I think we need to go through and say, if we can precisely say who wrote this, look. If we all know,
I think maybe Apollonia is the only one that could.
Yeah. Because look, I get a lot of people. I always tell people, you knew it was time for the Beatles to break up when Paul was saying, "No, I wrote this word." Right? Paul literally said, "I wrote this word in this sentence." Like, it's time for y'all to get the hell away from each other. I'll shut up.
Well, I think I'm. It's interesting that you bring this up, because I just listened to the last 2 episodes of Questlove Supreme, and Fonte was on there. And Fonte was like, when he was young, he figured out that the person in the parentheses, meaning the writer, was the one that was getting the money.
Right.
And Fonte was like, I wanted to be that person, the person that was listed in the parentheses. So I just think that's a really interesting conversation in context of that conversation on Questlove Supreme. But I hear your point. All right, so let's move on. That was just Sunday. Let's move on to Monday, which is about All My Dreams, April 29th.
I'll read.
Okay.
All My Dreams listed as In My Dreams overdubs, likely including vocals, Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 7:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. Booked, locked out. I'm guessing locked out means that we're not going to schedule anything until this session is done. All right, very good. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Peggy Mac Leonard. Very short quote from Wally Safford, because he will know where he got the glasses from. Captain Crunch. That was one of his favorite cereals. And we know that because it shows up in damn it, I just forgot one of my favorite songs from Emancipation. The Joint to Joint. I love Joint to Joint. Let's move on. But he mentions Captain Crunch in Joint to Joint. All right. And All My Dreams was a track that was reminiscent of another artist from that period, according to Wendy. This is Wendy's quote, it reminded me of the classic Kid Creole and the Coconuts. Prince had this cool sort of personality when he was singing it. One track he sang through a megaphone, and the other track was a clean track, and he mixed the two. I always wonder how the hell he did that. All right. Prince was so playful with the sound of his voice, and that he slowed it down, which inspired Wendy, Susanna, and Lisa's chant about a double-speed playhouse. All right. According to Lisa, Prince was specific about what he wanted for their vocals. Quote, Prince would tell us when we would be doing background vocals. Sing like you are Betty Davis. If you weren't in the studio, he would watch old black and white films from the whole Putting on the Ritz era.
Okay, before you move forward, I want you to read the asterisk at the bottom about Betty Davis.
Okay. Ooh, damn, brother Duane, even smaller font. Hold Hold on for a second. I'm getting this right here for real this time. It is unclear if Prince. Hold on. Oh, I get what you're saying. It is unclear if Prince was referring to singer Betty Davis, wife of Miles Davis, or Betty Davis, classic era film actress and singer. The printed interview spells the singer as Betty, Betty, but the context of the sentence implies black and white film star Betty, Bette Davis. When asked about this quote, Lisa Coleman responds equally perplexed. I remember when he said to me, and I bet he meant Betty Davis with the Y, but I took it to mean Betty Davis with the E. And I figured, what's the difference? They both sing in raspy and compelling tones. So it was me either misunderstanding him or he knew me too well and suggested Betty with an E Davis to me because I would get that. That's a great. That's a great footnote.
Yeah, it's important. And
right.
Footnote. Okay.
Right. So
they also added. They also added a section.
Okay, there we go. All right. They also added a section that they quietly paraphrase parts of Morning Verse for grades 5 through 8 by Rudolf Steiner, a composition that reflects on the wonders of Earth and the universe. You want me to read that black quote?
No, skip that and skip the next paragraph and start with the track also features.
Okay. The track also features live drums, live drums, live drums, live drums. I'm making a point because some fool actually said to me that Prince using drum machine ain't no different than all the people who were sampling. Live drums, live drums, live drums. Let me move on. With the new Fairlight keyboard. That's it?
No. Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So way back when, in the chat, Nick Felden wrote, "All my dreams scares me." And then Lady Crabdrive responded, "Why does that song scare you?" And Nick, I don't think you ever wrote in the chat why the song scares you. So I hope you're still here. So I'm curious, Michael and Celie, about what was your reception to All My Dreams when you first heard it?
I did hear Putting on the Ritz in that song, and there's another Prince song I'm trying to remember where I hear Tacos Putting on the Ritz. But I definitely hear Putting on the Ritz in All My Dreams.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, I know the song, but I don't get that.
And I think it's the megaphone because I think even Taco, but I even the kind of beat. I don't know why, but I've always heard. Other than that, that's it. Captain Crunch with soy milk because cows is for calves. Because he wasn't gonna let it go, then he wasn't drinking milk no more. Thank you, Sister Karan. So yeah, I've always heard, and that was one of those ones we had as a boot for a long time, right? We had the whole that we lived with that as a boot, and it sounded like for a lot of us in our psyche, it became officially released, even though it wasn't, right? It's one of those Prince songs that we had for so long. So I even have to remind myself that All My Dreams was a boot that we had.
Oh, yeah, not an actual song.
Yeah, exactly. I do have to realize that was a boot that we had, kind of like with the Black Album, right? Because remember, we had the Black Album damn near in real time because we had the Black Album before we had Love Sexy. Mm-hmm. I think we lived with the Black Album a few months before Love Sexy came out. So yeah, so I liked it. It was a cool little jam. I'll shut up.
So go ahead, Michael. But actually, maybe you can answer in context of this, because when I was reading this about All My Dreams being on the Parade album, I was like, really? I don't know. But Blake Brown is saying that they like it as a closer to the Parade album.
See, I'm kind of like you. When I heard it, just like Celie said, it was one of those bootlegs. The thing that made it jump out to me was that it sounded, unlike a lot of the other bootlegs that had bad quality, I've always heard the song and it sounded exceptionally well recorded. And I was like, wow, this sounds like just ready to go. And to me, when I first heard it, in my mind, I wanted to place it. And I was like, was this like Around the World in a Day? Or like, it sounds more whimsical type of fantasy type of Prince thing that I wouldn't associate it with Parade. So it's interesting to hear when it was recorded, but I always thought, was this some sort of, you know, the direction of coming out of Purple Rain and like, I want to lean into this around the world in the day type of imagery type stuff. So in my mind, that's what it sounded like. I was like, wow, this sounded like he was out there on some stuff. But I will also say, to me, the vocal, now I listen to it, I just hear Sly. Like, to me, the way he's toned, the way he's doing his voice, it reminds me of when Sly Beyond That Deep, almost like a family affair or something. Life by Sly, you know, some of their earlier stuff. That's what it reminds me to me. But I do love the energy of it. It does sound like one of those songs that would have been at the end of the concert or something, you know, and everyone's up, yeah, you know, fighting your dreams or whatever. So I do love that. The song goes weird a little bit in the middle, but again, that was that period of Prince. I was like, okay, I can see him. He's just indulging all of this type of vocal or audio imagery, which is interesting that he pulls this way later and puts it in Acknowledge Me, I believe, or something.
Yeah.
I want to know how his mind worked. I'm doing this New Jack Swing joint. Give me the reel of All in My Dreams from 1980. There's a piece in there I need to grab. It's going to work here. So that's what I had.
I will, just to add to that, when I make my playlist, I make album playlists because I listen to, and so what I'll do is on my album playlist, I have the album, and then I have the 12 inches, and I'll have the B-sides. And All My Dreams is on my parade playlist. In fact, For the Tears in Your Eyes, Can I Play With You, Neon Telephone, Teacher, All My Dreams, It's a Wonderful Day, In a Large Room with No Lights, and That Says What, and Others Here With Us are all on my parade because I look at when they were recorded, at what time they were recorded. So in All My Dreams, I have at the end of my parade playlist, and it doesn't seem out of tune there. And now we're talking about, what Brother Dean talks about the lyrics, it could have been a song that took us from the melancholy of sorrow of Christopher dying until a happier ending when Christopher is going to be in that happy place. He's going to be in heaven. He's going to be on the other side where that parade is. I'll shut up.
All right. So there's a lot of comments that I want to respond to in the chat. So first of all, I want to give a special hello to Hot Boy Corleone.
Hot Boy.
Thank you for being here. Yes, we're a huge Prince fan community here. So welcome.
Family. You found your family.
You found your family. That's right. Come on in. We're here every Saturday at noon. And thank you for being here. And welcome, Lee Christian. You're never late. And
I ain't mad at you, Lee. Get your money up, man. Don't work it because it is your job. We're not mad.
Yeah. I hate making movies, but I like that money.
Yes. All right. So actually there are a couple of comments from Monair that I really agree with. I thought it was odd that All My Dreams was also on the expanded edition of Sign of Times. I always thought that it should have gone on a Parade Super Deluxe. So I'm in agreement with that. And then the other thing that Monair said, that the line is one of my favorite songs of all time that Prince has ever written. And it would have been great to have that on Love Sexy for sure. So
Monair, when you're right, I'm gonna say you're right. I think All My Dreams being on Sign of Times is, again, that's one of my biggest problems with that box set, is they tried to treat Sign of Times like it was the carcass of the revolution. And there are several songs that are on that box set that actually should be on a Parade box set. So I'm in full agreement with you on that, Monair.
I agree with that too, Celie. There's several songs, not just this one. So I got the Charade boot in real time. Charade was probably my favorite bootleg of all time.
Yep.
And that's probably where I first heard All My Dreams. And I think that's also might be the reason why I so associate it with Parade personally. So thank you for that, D68A. And then there was one more comment from Love Sexy 71. I'm curious about you, Celie, and Michael about this comment here. Do you see this as the opening song to Under the Cherry Moon?
No, because I'm so tied to Christopher Tracy's. I'm so tied to how it opens.
An Honest Man.
Yeah, I'm so tied to that. Also, because I see All My Dreams as the what's the word? And I'm the literary the postscript. All My Dreams is the postscript to the movie, postscript to the album of Don't Let This Sorrow of Christopher Dying, He's in a Better Place. So it would have worked for me. So, but Mountains kind of does that. But I think that lyrically, All My Dreams is more in line with the movie of the postscript than what Mountains is. And because Mountains is actually a much more social political code. I like that. Thank you, Sister Kim. I think that Mountains also is such a social political song that people don't give Mountains the credit for making a social political. You know, he talks about the war, and he talks about the hijacks. And if you remember the 80s, hijacking and hostages and terrorism was a really big issue in the 80s. And so Mountains really spoke to me because my father and uncles were into message music. They were into political music. And here was my favorite artist also making a political statement. So yeah, so I think that I would have seen All My Dreams better as the coda, as the postscript, that Christopher Tracy is in a better place. I'll shut up.
You know, I would have, if we were talking about opening the album, I would have actually maybe open the album the same way that the movie opens. I can't think of what
Honest Man.
Honest Man.
Yeah, the way he was playing the piano and the woman talking and all that. I would have probably opened the album with that, and I would have given All My Dreams. I would have probably put that as a 12-inch because I think I just think the way it sounds. I don't know, for some reason it doesn't sound like the other songs, but it would have blew my head open if it was a 12-inch, and I would have been like, "What is this? Like, you know, what is he talking? You know, how does this fit in everything?" And it would have, you know, so that's what I would have done with it. But I could see it's hard for me to see it in the context of the album, only because in my mind I'm so hardwired for what the album is and what I've lived with. But in true Prince fashion, I guess I could see him throwing that on there. It would have threw me for a loop for sure.
And since we're here, one of the rare and earliest times I was ever pissed off with Prince is because I had a certain bootleg, and I loved that bootleg. And when I got the crystal ball, I saw this song, and I loved this song, and I said, finally, one of my favorite Prince songs. Even though it was a live version, one of my favorite Prince songs. Fine, I get Crystal Ball. I didn't use that. I go from beginning. Now, damn that, I'm going right to this song because I have loved this song as a bootleg. And finally, Prince, thank you, Prince, thank you. And I go to that song and I click on it. And that bullshit he gave me for Honest Man, if I could have found his ass right then, that bullshit of Honest Man that's on Crystal Ball, man, I was so goddamn mad at Prince. Yeah. Because if you've ever heard Honest Man from that New Morning Paris show in 1986, that is one of the most beautiful and soulful things I have ever heard. And what I want is either a clean version of that 1986 New Morning Paris show or a clean version of the Honest Man to get that bullshit that's in my ears from Crystal Ball. I still can't get it out of my ears. I'll shut up.
All right. So, Michael, can I get you to read Monday, April 29th, Strawberry Lover?
Yes, Strawberry Lover. All right. Fear the Shadow. Early title for Strawberry Lover. Overdubs, mix, Sunset Sound, Studio 2. 3 p.m., 11:30 p.m. Booked, locked out. Producer Prince, artist Mazarati listed as Prince. Engineer David Z. Rifkin, assistant engineer Colt Johnson. Skip the quote or do the quote?
Do the quote.
Do the quote. Brown Mark, I had done that song in my studio back at home, and that was what I wanted Mazarati to be, real hard rock. Strawberry Lover did have a different title to it. And Prince said, why don't we try it? Because he was all into the passion fruit. He was in his fruit stage. That's interesting. Prince continued to walk across the basketball court in between the studios to check in with how Mazarati was doing. While Prince wasn't as heavy handed as he was with the time and the family, he did like to drop by to add his touch, remembers Brown Mark. He used to ask me, what could he help me with? And I said, man, I think it'd be cool if you just played on some of the stuff. Because Prince was huge, and I was just trying to get Mazarati out there and what exposure that would be. Prince playing on their stuff. So that's kind of how that came about. He was being our director of that project, continues Brown Mark. So he went through my songs that I had written for them, and he kind of picked through them and asked me if I needed help on certain things. On songs he thought were weaker, he would step in and try to help me beef it up a little bit. Once Mazarati recorded Fear the Shadow was Brown Mark's nickname from the early days of working with Mazarati, Prince explained that he liked the music, but wanted to change it to Strawberry Lover and add his own flavor to the lyrics, according to Brown Mark.
Skip it.
It's not a stretch to imagine that Prince was inspired by his own lyrics on A Love Bazaar, which contained a reference to his lover's strawberry mind. He may have also been influenced by the Brothers Johnson song Strawberry Letter 23, also Shuggy Otis, and possibly even Strawberry Fields by the Beatles. This is the Beatles movement, explained Brown Mark about the music from this period. From Purple Rain into Around the World, we were entering this Beatles phase. Sgt. Pepper, the clothing change, the sound, everything, totally. Prince writes so fast, remembers Tony Christian. He's in, out, gone for 10 minutes, and the paper's full of lyrics. Wow. 3 C60 cassettes were made of the track. Status, Strawberry Lover, 5 minutes and 30 seconds, would be released on Mazarati's debut album. There you go.
And Joe Jones sings background on Strawberry Letter, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
Yes. And one of these songs, Mind Design, did a cover of, which is actually really good. And I was like, I can't believe someone covered a Mazarati song.
That's good.
And I think it was Strawberry. Can someone like do some Googling about, and it's Mind Design is MND. He doesn't spell it all out. It's like DSGN or something like that. It's on Stone's Throw. So a couple things about this. We just got finished with the last symposium, which was Pop Life 40. There were 2 presentations about Around the World in a Day, one from Camila Cummings and the other for Zach Hoskins, and they both went into great detail about how the Beatles weren't necessarily the inspiration for Around the World in a Day. And Prince himself said that the Beatles weren't an inspiration for Around the World in a Day. So I find it very interesting that Brown Mark is saying that this was, oh, thank you, Kim. I guess it's all over. And Mind Design redid, I guess it's all over. And it's like brilliant. I was like, one, can't believe it's a Mazarati cover. 2, did an amazing job. I guess it's all over for sure.
I've never heard of this person. Mind Design.
Mind Design. Yeah, they're on Stone's Throw out on the West Coast. And so I'm curious, how do you guys feel about this quote from Brown Mark about this is their, Beatles phase, Sgt. Pepper?
Because I read Brown Mark's book, and I want to be on record say that my issue with Brown Mark's book is the editing. I wish he'd gotten somebody to help him write his book who, 1, cared more about him, and 2, knew more about Prince. So I just want to say that. But I'd like to know, because what happens is Brown Mark is not writing that book in real time. So he's writing that book 20, 30 something years removed from when that happened. And my question is, I wonder how much of that is Brown Mark hearing something so much that it becomes part of his memory, right? You see what I'm saying? That so many journalists have called it the Beatles album. So many this, that, and then so for him in doing this as a throw off. So that was my initial question is that how he really felt in real time? Or is this his kind of hindsight being 2020 and having kind of subconsciously brought all this in? Because again, Prince in real time was saying it's not a Beatles album. And the two great reviews that we got at the Prince Symposium was saying it wasn't a Prince. And for me in real time, other than Paisley Park and Around the World in a Day, and only for the kind of Eastern sounds. So the only kind of Beatles things I hear on Around the World in a Day is Paisley Park and Around the World in a Day. I just wonder how much of that is Brown Mark and how much of that is him through the filter of memory, and that's impacting that. I'll shut up.
So Carol has this comment. Prince also said Jimi Hendrix didn't influence him, but he's on P's Hall of Inspiration wall at Paisley Park.
Well, let me say two things. It's clear sonically that Santana, as far as how Prince played, let me say this clearly. If you look at how Prince played, Santana was more interested than the preciseness of the note. Jimi Hendrix was more interested in bending the note. So if you look just at how Prince played, go listen to Bambi, go listen to Yours, go listen to all of the things that Prince is playing early. That's a Santana influence. Prince does not sound like Jimi Hendrix on record until Temptation. That is. I mean, that's a sonic reality that Prince does not sound like Jimi Hendrix until Temptation. And the genius and brilliance of Prince, when does Prince sound like Jimi Hendrix? When he's playing the blues. So that's Prince telling you that Jimi Hendrix was a blues man. So I think that it's not a question of whether or not Prince respected Jimi Hendrix. I think we all know that Prince respected Jimi Hendrix. But if you're asking me as far as Prince's playing style, Prince was probably as, if not more, influenced by Santana sonically in how Prince approached playing notes. He does not he does not sound like Jimi Hendrix until Temptation, and Temptations is a blues song. I'll shut up.
So I'm trying to get Lee Christian, I'm not quite following the point you're trying to make, because I personally know that the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix changed music. That is like no question.
Right.
Like they changed. I mean, the Beatles changed, recording techniques. Jimi Hendrix changed recording techniques by building, Electric Lady. So like, can you expand a little bit more of what you want us to get from your comment? Because I'm not quite following.
And I like the Blade Brown comment, but I'll just put the Blade Brown comment in context. When Prince, if you go back and read those early pre-1982 interviews, you'll be amazed. And I can understand from where Prince was coming. You'll be amazed of the lazy journalism in interview after effing interview after effing interview, where every journalist wanted Prince to say, hey, you're Smokey Robinson, right? Hey, you're Jimi Hendrix, right? Hey, you're Little Richard, right? Like, I mean, in interview, and because I had to go through those ad nauseum when I was writing my book, I began to realize that for Prince, it was like, look, yeah, of course, I listened to these people growing up. Yeah, of course, they've influenced me in some way. And in fact, no. And in fact, he says, I'll find the interview for you guys if you need to. And I try. He says this is an audio. And while y'all talk, I'm gonna make this statement. I'm gonna see if I can find. He says in an audio that you can find online. He said, I'd rather you call me some fusion of something than call me Smokey Robinson's son. And I'm so glad this is an audio. You can hear his frustration. I am not Smokey Robinson's son. I'm not Jimi Hendrix's son. I'm not Little Richard's son. Just because y'all are lazy, just because y'all don't want to do any research, I'm not going to allow y'all to limit me into what y'all can
comprehend, understand.
Yes, to what y'all can comprehend. And even with Chris B, I don't even say that Joni Mitchell was his main focus. I think that Prince is a gumbo.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you start talking about Prince as a main, there is no main influence in Prince. There is as much George Clinton as there is Little Richard. There's as much Little Richard as there is James Brown. There's as much James Brown as there is Smokey. I think that what happens is, here's what happens. We all come to Prince with the stuff we love, and because we love it, we focus more on that because that's what got us to Prince. And we minimize the other things. And I was so glad, and I want to say this, that I had a father, a black man who got arrested in the civil rights movement. The reason I'm saying this is because I wanted to minimize Joni Mitchell. I was like, Joni Mitchell, Prince went, and my father looked me in the eyes and said, hey, son, Joni Mitchell was a bad motherfucker. Don't do that. And I was glad that I had a black man who could look at me and say, Joni Mitchell was a bad motherfucker. So you have to look at Prince as a gumbo. And I know it's difficult to look at Prince as a gumbo, but again, Prince's whole point was stop making me Smokey Robinson's son. Stop making me Jimi Hendrix's son. And so while Brother Dean and Sister and Prof. Duff talk about that, I'm going to see if I can find that link to that actual recording because I think people need to actually hear the frustration. This was a 1980 or 81 interview. Can you imagine how frustrating you have to be just 2 or 3 years into your career where people have already decided you are this, and this is the only lens from which we're going to explain you. I'll shut up and go see if I can find that.
So just really quickly, again, I'm sorry, Lee Christian. I'm not disagreeing. Like, I don't think any of us would disagree with anything that you're writing in the chat. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, what is your overarching thesis that you want us to get, that I feel like you think that we don't get. I'm really confused. So yes, Jimmy had feedback in their guitar. So anyone who plays a guitar feedback is post Hendrix. Okay, and only the Shadows S clean surf sound was around before Hendrix.
Put the other Lee Christian quote. No, going down to
no, the next.
All right. Let me show you why. Let me show you why you're wrong on this, Brother Lee. Jimi Hendrix was trying to be Little Richard. Jimi Hendrix was in Little Richard's band. So when you say that Prince had a look that was inspired by Hendrix, Hendrix's look was inspired by Little Richard. Jimi Hendrix was trying to be Little Richard. So because Jimi Hendrix was trying to be Little Richard, and we know that Prince knew who Little Richard was, my question then, Brother Lee, was Prince trying to be Jimmy, or was Prince trying to be Little Richard? See, this is what happens when we try to say Prince is this or Prince is that. Jimi Hendrix didn't have no style before he met Little Richard. Like, that's a real truth statement. Jimi Hendrix had no fashion style before he met Little Richard. Little Richard gave Jimi Hendrix all of his fashion style. So to then say that Prince got his style from Jimi Hendrix is the one discount Little Richard, and the two to say that Prince was so stupid he didn't know who Little Richard was. Again, our point, Brother Lee and everybody else, we're not saying that Prince wasn't influenced by Jimi Hendrix. We're saying that you're doing Prince and everybody else a discredit because you want to make the Beatles the primary thing, or you want to make Jimmy the primary thing, or James the primary thing. And that's the thing from against which Prince has been fighting his entire career. I am more than this one thing, right?
Yeah, I just go back to say, he was a gumbo. I mean, I think that's what his fans who knew music understood that. Prince. I always say this. To me, Prince was he was just the human MPC SP 1200. What I mean by that is to say, he was everything. I'll piss people off. Prince was the ultimate sampler. The difference is that he could play the shit and he can reinterpret it in a way that was interesting. But you could hear that he obviously was a fan and a deep study and a lover of music across the board, whatever kind of music that was. Seemed like he was a guy that must have listened to it all and then dissected it all and then figured out how to actually play it. And then because he was young and just like all young people, they come up with their own movements in their own time and an interpretation of what happened before. He puts his spin on, and his spin is fantastic. But I think you can't deny that he is just putting his spin on tried and true, authentic music, whether it's black music, whatever kind of music. He is able to interpret it, and it sounds so interesting, and it's good. Like it speaks to our soul. But I just thought he was always the ultimate sampler. He could take take a look from here, combine it in. Now, those who knew it, they could identify it and see, oh, he ain't doing nothing but because maybe they know what that was. But he did that through his whole career to a degree. Like, and then I think when he became older, he was like, man, I'm not tripping. I'll let you. Yeah, I'm doing covers. I've always been doing this. Like we started out, the bands he started out with was just doing covers of whatever was popping at that time, but they mastered those songs. And so I just think he was always doing what came before him, but he did it out of time. He was able to take what was cool about some of the imagery of Little Richard. No one's doing that today. I'm going to mix that in with what I got going on today. You're not going to, the younger people probably won't understand because they won't know that back then, but I'm going to flip it in a way that you ain't never seen. And some of those older people may be, oh, he's kind of pulling from, and of course the dominant society, if they can see some Beatles and something, of course then that's a way for them to say, oh, that's us, that's a part of our thing, So I get why in that time period they was really trying to push that Beatles and all that kind of stuff, but we knew he was pulling from all kind of shit. And so to me, it's always been that way. But also I will say this, and I'm done. Prince is also that contrarian type brother that because he is so swagged out and wants to be seen as that dude, he ain't gonna never tell you where he got his shit from, right? And that's the thing that we do. DJ, I'm gonna put a white label over this so y'all can't bite my beats. I'm gonna be the only one spinning this because I don't want nobody else to know where I got this from. Or where did you get them shoes at? Ah, man. Now my homie hooked them up. I can't tell you where I got that. This is my style. I think Prince was that same type of dude. Yeah, I'm jacking Hendrix and all, but I ain't gonna tell you. Right? I'm not gonna admit to it. I made this. What you talking about? He had that kind of flavor about them. He would never be seen as weak or that he was copying somebody, even though he probably was. But I just think that was the kind of dude he was lie to your face in a good way. But that was what he did back then. He was playing in your face, telling you, I made that.
So, and I'll just say two things. First, if you take off, because I want to, Brother Christian and Sister TP, if you take off, Jimi Hendrix added his own twist with the military jacket. If you take off the military jacket, what's under the military jacket was the blouse, the floral colors that came from Little Richard. How do I know this? Because if you read Little Richard's book, and if you read two biographies written on by Jimi Hendrix, by notable scholars, those three books all state that one of the reasons Little Richard released or let Jimi Hendrix go because Jimi Hendrix was upstaging Little Richard by playing like Little Richard taught him to play and dressing better than him. Like that's in Little Richard's book, and that's in two books written, two biographies written about when Jimi Hendrix left Little Richard's band. The blouses, the scarves, the floral colors. That little Jimi Hendrix was doing that before he went to London, and he was doing that before he got involved in the hippie culture. And for whatever reason, that's become difficult for people to get at to Little Richard than to get to somebody else. And my point is, I want to be clear. My point is Prince is an amalgamation. I'm not here saying that Prince, I'm arguing against Prince got everything from one person. My argument, my position is Prince was a gumbo, and when we don't take Prince as a gumbo, we are limiting what Prince is saying. That's it. I'll shut up.
And I'm going to follow up with a comment from Karan, which I love the gumbo metaphor, and I also love this metaphor of Prince being like a kaleidoscope of multiple colors.
Yes, I love that kaleidoscope. Thank you, Karan.
Yes. So, I think we can agree to that. And then just remember our community agreements. It's okay to disagree. We don't have the same opinions, and that's totally okay. Like, we're here to have fun every week. Like, we don't want to show up every week to argue, and we're actually not arguing. We're just disagreeing. And so that's like a key difference. I hope that we're a community enough where we can actually disagree and still be okay with one another. Like, that's really, really important. What Prince fan have you met that actually agrees with one another 100%? I have yet to have met that Prince fan where we actually agree 100% on every single thing about Prince. And for me, that's what actually makes these conversations interesting. Oh, I never thought about it like that. Oh, I need to go back and listen to that. I didn't hear that in that. So I think it's really important that we don't get,
There you go, love.
There you go.
There you go, love.
There's always something. There's always something. I was about to say, because if somebody in here that don't like a door, unfriend me now.
And I've met someone who doesn't like a door.
Get them away.
And so it's just like, yeah. So it's just, I don't know. I think we're missing the larger point, which is Prince was a genius, a musical genius.
Absolutely.
I don't care where he got his influences from. He was one of one.
Right.
And that is reason why we are dedicating our lives to this man's genius. Like, we are here every Saturday talking about Prince's music, and it's just a testament of how amazing Prince was. So
Hey, Blade Brown, that song don't exist. That's a myth. That song never existed. Let's move on.
Go.
Let's move on, Blade Brown. That's a myth. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, boy.
All right, so I'm going to move on to Tuesday. We're still at Tuesday. Ooh. Tuesday, April 30th, 1985. Strawberry Lover, formerly Fear the Shadow, vocal overdub. She's just that kind of lady. Listed as She's That Lady. Vocal, She's That Lady. Okay.
Sheets of sound. Stop.
Vocal and guitar overdub, Sunset Sound, Studio 2, 1 p.m. Hold it. 1 p.m. to 3:15 a.m. Woo. 1 p.m. to 3:15 a.m. Booked, locked out. Producer Prince, artist Mazarati, listed as Prince, engineer David Z. Rifkin, assistant engineer Coke Johnson. All right. This is a quote from Brown Mark. He basically gave me the lyrics and kind of showed me how it should be sung. All right. The kind of I take exception to, because based on what Duane wrote, I don't think it was a kind of he showed you. So here we go. When Prince returned to Studio 2, wait for it, he recorded his new lyrics for Strawberry Lover. I want originals too for this version of Strawberry Lover, but Prince singing it, oh my God, I would just like, oh, just have a fit. Okay. It is likely that the rest of the band's vocals were added after that, with lead singer Sir Terry Casey mirroring Prince's guide vocals.
Sir Casey Terry.
Yeah, Sir Terry Casey. Yes. Work was also done on She's Just That Kind of Lady, but it is unclear if Prince participated in that track. I love She's Just That. Oh my God. That if you haven't really listened to that song, you gotta listen to it. It is on fire like Mariah. A single C60 cassette was made of the song, likely for Prince, and the session was over at 3:15 a.m. Status, She's Just That Kind of Lady, 4 minutes and 31 seconds, was released on Mazarati's eponymous album in March of 1986. All right. How do you guys feel about She's Just That Kind of Lady? Mm-hmm.
I have to hear it again.
You gotta listen. You gotta listen to it, Michael.
Yeah, I will say that y'all may be doing for me with the Mazarati album that y'all did for me with the Apollonia album. Remember the Apollonia album? I was like, yeah, it's 3 good songs on there. I'm gonna move on, right? Not the second. The Apollonia album is was it 3? No, I was like, it's 1 good song on that album, on that Apollonia album, which was Sex Shooter, and y'all brought me around to. I'm up to 3 now, 3 or 4 now. I'm up to, I'm up to, and with the Mazarati album, it was a good album, but it wasn't something to which I returned a lot. And now you guys are having me return to Mazarati's album in a way. And I think that's the most important part about what we do here is that I am so grateful that so many people love songs that I just forgot about. Like, because the Prince's catalog is so big, right? That folks will put things in the chat or go hard for something. And I'll go, damn, let me go back and check that out. So I will say that I've revisited Mazarati's album, and I say thank y'all to this reading, to Prof. Delta, Brother Dean, and to everybody, because it was one of those albums that, oh, and I'm glad you put that in, Big Sexy, because I want to make sure. Growing up, it was 60, 90, 120. So 60 is for minutes, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, because I wanted to make sure the C60, because remember we had the 60 minute, the 90 minutes, and the 120. So I wanted to clarify that meant 60 minutes. All right, I'll shut up.
So Vanessa saying Susie is my jam. And Tao Sophia saying, holding my Maserati cassette in my hand right now. What? Oh, and I love this from Cal Christian. So I'm curious, like whenever I listen to that Mazarati record, I have to play it loud. And I think it needs to be remastered just so that, we get the definition from all the instruments. Because I don't know about anybody else, but like the bass is not as prominent on the whole album as I think it should be, especially coming from Brown Mark. So I don't know, like if that's like a mastering thing. So I'm curious. Oh, Red Cat Up Rock, you are now officially my best friend. Brown Mark, Shall We Dance is my favorite favorite Prince song that Prince wrote for somebody else, with the sole exception of Dance Electric, which he gave to Andre. But if you haven't listened to Brown Mark, Shall We Dance, which Prince wrote, you have not lived, because it is such an amazing song. So thank you, Red Cat Up Rock, for bringing Shall We Dance into the conversation.
And y'all gonna say that with Bang Bang sitting right there. Y'all gonna make that statement. Bang Bang is like right there.
No, right there. No, it's different. It's different. It's different. Okay, we're gonna move on, and we're gonna move on to Tuesday, April 30th. Can somebody read it? It's very short, and you can skip the quote.
I got it. All My Dreams, vocal overdubs mix, Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. Bookend. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineers Peggy McLeonard and Susan Rogers. Prince arrived late to the session, likely because he was in Studio 2, adding his vocals to Strawberry Lover and working with Mazarati. Peggy quickly prepped for Prince to add his vocals to All My Dreams. A mix was created of the song, but additional work would continue on the track the following day. Yeah, I just a testament to how busy I'm leaving. I'm putting vocals down over here. Then I'm gonna go over here and put down vocals. And I'll just add, I don't know how many of y'all remember this. And I'm not gonna say tragedy because I hate using the word tragedy. I always thought so. There was a story about Paisley Park had gotten so popular and busy as a studio that Prince drove from home when he still not living and got to Paisley Park and was pissed because all of the studios had been rented out. And remember, that was also the time when they had filmed the Campbell's commercial there. I don't know how many of you guys remember the movie Grumpy Old Men, but parts of Grumpy Old Men was filmed in Paisley Park. And so I'm looking at what Prince is doing in Sunset Sound. And he sets up Paisley Park to do it and be uninterrupted. And I think about what could have happened if some business partner, because he clearly wasn't listening to Alan Leeds, who I think could have done it. What would have happened if Prince would have allowed Alan Leeds to turn Paisley Park into the mega audio and video recording system that it was, by the way, designed to be? They were already filming movies there. They were already filming commercials there. So that it made me think about that him going from studio to studio. But because Prince got there and was pissed, he actually, I think, did he tell them from now on, always reserve one studio and don't sell time for that studio? And it really began to limit what Paisley Park could have been in a more, I hate to use this term, but in a more corporate way. I'll shut up.
All right, Michael Dean, I want you to read Wednesday, May 1st, 1985, particularly in light of your parade review.
All right.
Your channel.
All right, Wednesday, May 1st, Velvet Kitty Cat, tracking an overdubs mix, new position, likely mix, All My Dreams, crossfades and mix, Under the Cherry Moon, mix with new oboe. Under the Cherry Moon, instrumental mix. Oof. Parade album compilation contains Wendy's Parade, new position, I Wonder You, Under the Cherry Moon, Others Here With Us, Life Can Be So Nice, Velvet Kitty Cat, Sometimes It Snows in April, Kiss, Old Friends for Sale. Oh, love that song. All My Dreams, Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 1 p.m., 6:30 a.m. Booked, locked out. Boy, he was on a tear. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineers Peggy Mac Leonard and Susan Rogers.
Skip it.
Oh, May. The only reason I know what an oboe is, because when I was in college, there was a girl played the oboe at Jackson State, and my God, she was fine. I don't know how that oboe sounded.
Ain't no more.
I used to go to her performances, and it was wonderful. All right, move on.
That I would remember it too. I understand that. May started off with Prince updating the mixes for several of his recently recorded songs, including New Position, Under the Cherry Moon, and All My Dreams, and sequencing them into the first real version of his new, as yet untitled album. He spent 9 hours working on new mixes, which included additional instrumental overdubs and crossfades to help the tracks flow together on the new collection. That is fascinating to me. 9 hours, and he's like, okay, play this song, and he's adding little bits and pieces. I wonder, like the song Kiss, the ending that's on the album, is this done in a time like this where it kind of has that different guitar lick that ends the song that you don't hear in any other sort of version of the song? The first 5 songs, including Life Can Be So Nice, were the beginning and the nucleus of the record. recalls Susan Rogers. We did go back later to Minnesota and we did add Mountains and Girls and Boys. But the nucleus of that album remained those first songs, and then skipping over to Life Can Be So Nice and Sometimes It Snows in April. After Midnight, Prince also revisited an early track and updated it with the band. Velvet Kitty Cat had been originally recorded in 1983, but it lacked energy. So they rehearsed it and recorded a much more aggressive rockabilly version of the song using music based on Jerry Lee Lewis's version of Whole Lot of Shaking Going On. Multiple takes were done of the band rehearsing the track, and the final version was added to this compilation. Peggy recalls how important it was when Prince worked on a second take. Sometimes he'd do the whole song and then he'd go do another take. He'd say, let's do one more. And it's like, okay, thank God, I'll do this real quick. I would literally hold my breath waiting for him to say, we do another one.
Skip it.
Why did he do a second take, recalls Peggy? Maybe he would just do it because he would want to see if anything would be different, if there was anything better, or maybe he just did it because he didn't want to stop playing. Who knew why? The lineup for the first assembly of the album included Wendy's Parade, New Position, I Wonder You, Under the Cherry Moon, Others Here With Us. I assume the other side would have been Life Can Be So Nice, Velvet Kitty Cat, Sometimes It Snows in April, Kiss, Old Friends for Sale, and in my dream, all my dreams.
Let's hold off right here.
Yep.
So let's talk about this configuration. Well, how do you feel about it? I'll start off because I have feelings.
Okay.
Others Here With Us, I just like that is like Nick Feldon was talking about All My Dreams, but Others Here With Us scares me. It's a strange song. It's like a song that is I've said this before, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Anti-Christian sonically is a song that Prince never repeated. Is one-on-one. And I feel the same about Others Here With Us. It's like one-on-one, and it's so weird. It's like it's very creepy for me. So I don't know why he would have, and I wonder if he was already thinking about the movie, and if so, like where would this have gone in the context of the movie? So I don't understand Others Here With Us in context of Under the Cherry Moon. That's my personal opinion. Velvet Kitty Cat is a very odd song to have in this configuration. And I was wondering about Duane's comments, because for me, the one that came out on the 1999 Super Deluxe it's not low energy. It's actually pretty rockabilly. So I'm wondering, how does this version from 85 differ from the one that we got from 83? And I'm assuming the one that we got on the 1999 Super Deluxe is the 83 version.
Right.
But I hear rockabilly on the 83 version.
Yep.
And it's not low energy. So I wonder how different this 85 version. So I really want to hear this, but I don't understand why it was considered as a possibility of the lineup of Parade. And then the one that breaks my heart is Old Friends for Sale. If that could have remained, oh my God, that would have been like amazing. And then All My Dreams would have also been amazing to get in real time. And I love it as an album club closer here. So I'm curious about your takes on this, Michael and Celie.
I would co-sign everything you said. To me, the only song that I would have kept, and I still think it's a shame it didn't come out, was Old Friends for Sale.
Mm-hmm.
That would have almost, that would have been one of the cornerstone of the album for me. Like just what he's talking about, the way that the music is, the instrumentation with the orchestra and everything. It was amazing. That's an amazing song to me, but it's even more amazing that it was made in 85 and he had the capability and the the musicianship to not to pull that off, but to blow that out of the water. Like from everything that he's done before, that would have been such a drastic change. I would have been like, good God, like to me, it was like one of those Alexa de Paris or something. Just like, God, this guy can do this, and it's great. Like,
Right.
That's what I said.
So first things first, and you guys don't have to put the actual song, but I want everybody in the chat to put yes or no. Do you have a stupid song that you love? Does anybody have a stupid song that they love? I'm gonna wait 2 seconds to see. Does anybody have a stupid song that they love? Because the stupid song that I love is Velvet Kitty Cat. Velvet Kitty Cat. See that? Velvet Kitty Cat. That is the dumbest damn song. It is every time Velvet Kitty Cat comes on, I go, this is one dumb ass song, and about 30 seconds in. You know what I'm doing? I found myself doing the American Bandstand. The American Bandstand.
Carlton.
So that's what I got to say is that Velvet Kitty Cat, I like that song, has no business being in this configuration. Next, I'll tell you, I agree with what y'all say about Old Friends for Sale. Here is Kim say the white girl. Kim, you bringing up shades of Dinner with Dolores, dancing like a white girl on dirty disco floors. Here's the problem. Here's why Old Friends for Sale couldn't stay on the configuration. It doesn't work because Christopher and Tricky remain friends.
But they could have played it while they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like during that one night.
So that one night they was done with one another.
Oh my God.
So I think that I'm like y'all. I wish we could have gotten that original version of Old Friends for Sale. Again, I'm not completely hating on the one we got on the vault, but it's just the lyric change. It takes, again, I told you I don't hear about no goddamn Dark as a Persian, man. Come on. I need to hear. So that would be the only thing I would say is that this was a very interesting configuration, but Velvet Kitty Cat does not belong here. And I just don't think that Old Friends for Sale would have worked lyrically with the movie. But I do think that In All My Dreams would have been a great ending to the album after Sometimes It Snows in April. I think that because Sometimes It Snows in April leaves us so heavy. Like whenever I would listen to Parade, I would have to listen to something else to get out of that thing. But I will say this though about Sometimes It Snows in April. While it is a sad song, it's a very spiritual song in that he is clearly saying Christopher is somewhere else better. So I think there's a juxtaposition between the sound of the song versus what the lyrics are actually saying. Right? I think the lyrics are actually saying we should actually be thankful if we get a friend like Christopher. We should actually be thankful if we meet somebody like Christopher. And we should actually be thankful to know that Christopher is in a better place. It's just that the sound is so sorrowful that it leaves you very, very heavy. All right, I'll shut up.
I'm sorry. Flame Proud's comment is pretty funny. I just wanted On Parade so bad. I mean, I wanted it to be officially released. So any kind of way they could like put it in there. Now, Kyle Christian is saying is that it was in the movie. Was it?
I don't
feel like I've heard that too, but I can't place it right now.
Yeah, maybe
so where is it, Kyle Christian? What is the scene where it's playing in the movie?
Yeah. Like I said, maybe I missed it.
Or somebody else. Like, where is Old Friends for Sale and On the Cherry Moon?
And for me, it don't even have to be in the movie. It just need to be on the album. Like, I just need to be.
I would have taken it on as a B-side.
I could see that too.
I would have taken, and let me ask you this. As far as recording date, it was recorded after they were done with all the B-sides for Purple Rain. So so it couldn't have been a B-side for a Purple Rain single. So because it was recorded too late. So so I would have loved to see it as a B-side for on one of the songs that we got. Probably. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I guess I could see the B-sided Around the World in a Day too. Like I wouldn't have been mad at that.
Yeah.
All right. So I got a secret text that said that it's part of the score.
Okay.
So.
Oh, also tell your secret text. I checked my email and I appreciate that. Let secret text let Groovement know. I appreciate that, player. So we'll move on.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you, Blade Brown. That's what I want. I need like citation. Okay, so Blade Brown is saying the instrumental when Christopher comes back and Tricky calls him out. Okay, I have to watch On the Cherry Moon again.
So I got waylaid. Oh no, you got late.
Yeah. Okay.
Stop hating, Tricky.
Yes. All right. Okay, so here we go. It's not the whole song, it's just strings with Tricky and Christopher were fighting.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. See? That one night and morning, see, Lee. That's what I'm talking
Okay. You're right. There you go.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Look at it. One thing about it, that's one melodramatic ass movie. So, the highs and lows of that movie is, I think, what wore a lot of people. I love the highs and lows of that movie, by the way. So
I do too. Yes. And it's made more magical by black and white, in my personal opinion, the drama. Okay, Michael Dean, read the rest of this chapter. This was a rough assembly.
All right. This was a rough assembly, but much of this album would remain in the final collection. Eventually, Prince decided that this lineup of songs didn't convey what he had in mind for the upcoming film. So this early compilation was scrapped. The tracks that Prince used relied on the input of Wendy and Lisa, and his music was reflecting this change. This was obviously a transitional phase, whereas his music expanded, explained his tour manager, Alan Leeds. So did the scope of the instrumentation of the band. So I think the use of Wendy and Lisa was just the beginning of that. With the tracks being sent out of house to be embellished by Claire Fisher, an alternate take was given to the project. The code name was the Marx Brothers, according to Fisher's engineer, Arnie Fargy. Nobody in the Prince organization wanted anyone to know what we were working on. We weren't allowed to mention Prince's name either, so we called it the Marx Brothers. The session ended at 6:30 in the following morning after the mixes and 2 C90 cassettes were made of the collection. The engineers clocked 10 hours of overtime, but Prince continued to work everyone hard. Status. Velvet Kitty Cat, 2 minutes and 42 seconds, has not been released. This is different than the version included on the Purple Rain Deluxe set in 2017. This early compilation of Parade also remains unreleased.
So that's the answer. So apparently because I didn't really I got up tempo with the Velvet Kitty Cat that we got. I never got a Jerry Lee Lewis kind of. So clearly there's another version of Velvet Kitty Cat. And by the way, I actually got to see Jerry Lee Lewis live twice in my lifetime.
Oh, wow.
And I just like to say, the older Jerry Lee Lewis got, the faster them damn songs got. So if you think Whole Lot of Shaking was fast in 1950 or whatever, when I saw him in like the 90s, a Whole Lot of Shaking was just. So that damn Jerry Lee Lewis, the older he got, and for people who don't know, which may not mean anything to anybody who didn't grow up in the 80s, you do know who Jerry Lee Lewis' two cousins are, right?
I know I should. Isn't one Johnny Cash?
Nope. That's a good guess, though.
I forgot.
Mickey Gilley and Jimmy Swaggart.
Jimmy Swaggart. Yeah.
In fact, Jimmy Swaggart used to tell a story about when that in Louisiana, they got banned for participating in talent shows because they was knocking everybody out. And so they would not allow, because Jimmy Swaggart was a piano player just like Jerry Lee Lewis. And many people argue that Jimmy Swaggart may have been the equal or even better a piano player than Jerry Lee Lewis. So yeah.
So, Michael, you're gonna have to take over the comments for right now because my machine has frozen, but I think you can still hear me. And I can't see you either because you can move stuff around because like my screen is locked. I don't know why. Maybe it'll stop. So we'll see. If not, I might have to leave and come back.
Come back, yeah.
So, Celie, do you mind reading Thursday, May 2nd, and read the quote?
Okay. Velvet Kitty Cat overdub mix. Too rough, likely mix. Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. Good Lord. Booked, locked out. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Peggy McLeonard. This is a quote from Lisa Coleman. The revolution really got to be a brain that knew when he would just yell out horns. Matt and I would look at each other and go, okay, horns. We kind of knew what he means. We kind of know what he means. And so, yeah, we were almost like puppets. Puppets make me a toy. Make little toys really fast, last. So she's playing on, right, their role. All right, very good, Lisa. Mm-hmm. Prince continued working on the newly recorded update of Velvet Kitty Cat from the previous day's efforts. He also pulled Too Rough out of the vault once again for another quick mix. The track was offered to Mother's Finest, singer Joyce Kennedy, and she declined it. Quote, I don't think it's some of his best work, Kennedy told Rock and Soul magazine. It's weird. The hook and the vocal lead are good, but the rest of the song, I don't know. It's really strange. I've lived with it for a while, but I wasn't totally sure it was right, even if it was Prince, end quote. Prince was at the top of his popularity, and at that moment, everything he touched was turning gold. Kenny recognized that as she continued her thoughts. Quote, politically, I want to do it. It's a Prince song, and it'll make people go to the album and find all the wonderful stuff on it. But maybe it's not worth being cloned into the bag of females doing Prince tunes, end quote. It's unclear if Kennedy ever released Too Rough. Prince would quickly rebound, and he was about to match the perfect band with a song he'd originally recorded the previous year for Apollonia 6. Stats. The 6-minute version of Too Rough would be considered for Jill Jones' album, but it didn't make the cut and remains unreleased.
Real quick, can you give me, and I probably should know this, and y'all can take my black card, Joyce Kennedy?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the same Joyce Kennedy as a child I would hear about? There was some sort of tape, or is this?
No, that's you're thinking actress. You're thinking Jane Kennedy.
Oh, okay. See, that's I'm the homie from Penitentiary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sugar Ray.
So this is something different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Leon Kennedy. Leon Kennedy.
Yeah. Leon Kennedy. Yeah,
Leon Kennedy. You think Sugar Ray because he was a boxer in the movie?
Yeah, because
I just like memories I have of as a child. You know, I never really saw them, but I was like, why? My parents seem like to keep talking about that. I don't know what the hell.
Yeah, man. Look here, bro. That Jane Kennedy, woo-wee. And Jane Kennedy actually, just to go down that rabbit hole just a little bit, Jane Kennedy became, I think, the first Black woman to be a sports anchor for NFL. So yeah. So she was. Shout
out to them.
And you're right, JD. He did kind of look like Sugar Ray. He did really kind of look like Sugar Ray Robinson.
So Michael Dean,
Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm sorry.
Mother's Finest. They sing this song called "Love Changes."
Yep.
I got to hear it.
Oh, you know what else? You know what other song they sing?
I know the name of the group though. They must sing.
They also sing "Redheaded Stepchild."
Okay. Mother's Fine. I mean, I know
Mother's Finest was a really kind of. They never got as popular as Parliament Funkadelic, but Black people who were in the rock, they had all the Mother's Finest stuff. So like my uncles and my father and all of them had Mother's Finest. And so when Prince started doing Mother's Finest covers, even though I hate covers, it was really cool that he was doing Mother's Finest stuff. I'll shut up.
I'm gonna do my research.
Yeah, you know Love Changes for sure. And actually, Tamar covered that song.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, Redheaded Stepchild. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
And Baby Love. Yep. Thank you, Kyle Christian. And they did, and they wrote Baby Love.
Okay.
Yeah,
Baby Shelby does. There we go.
Yep. And are you sure that Redhead Stepchild is Mother's Finest?
I may be wrong. Let me see. Maybe I may have Baby Love confused. Let me see.
Yeah, and they are from Atlanta, Mother's Finest.
Atlanta.
ATL in the house.
Stand up, Atlanta. I know you're in the building.
All right, I'm getting someone saying it's not the Redheaded Stepchild is not a Mother's Finest, but Tamar actually sung it.
Okay. So yes. So it's just the other song.
Yeah, Love Changes.
Yeah.
And Prince was going to give them a song.
And Baby Love.
Yeah, Baby Love. Yeah, Baby Love is the Mother's Finest song. I stand corrected. Baby Love is the Mother's Finest song.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
All right. So have either of you heard Too Rough? Is it out in the interwebs?
I can't place it.
Is that's not the song we did? No, I'm thinking something else. I was thinking when we had the thread discussion on Roger's song that had an ode to Prince in it. Was that Too Rough?
So Rough.
Yeah, So Rough. Yeah.
In here, baby.
Okay. My main text person is saying, yeah, it's out. Okay. I gotta go find it on the
Okay, Kim.
web.
Kim, I got you.
All right. Okay, so Kim is saying Melissa Morgan covered Love Changes as well. It's an amazing song, Michael Dean. You'll know it when you hear it.
Probably when I hear it.
Yeah, you'll know. I would sing it for you, but I don't want to butcher it.
Well, you can.
Oh no. No, I can't do that. I have to, like warm my vocals up and
1, 2, 3. Hit it. That's Prince style. Oh, you can sing? All right. 1, 2.
Okay, here we go. Friday, May 3rd, 1985. Jealous Girl, possible mix. Manic Monday, possible mix. America, possible edits. All Day, All Night, possible overdubs mix. Can't Stop This Feeling I Got, possible mix. Don't Let Him Fool You mix. Sunset Sounds 3. Noon, wait for it, 3:15 a.m.
Damn, working
it like a job. Booked
every day, bangers too. That's
every day.
Bangers.
Back to back. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineers Peggy Mac Leonard and Susan Rogers. He had the strongest work ethic of any musician I've ever known, and I've known a lot because I've been in this business since 1978, so that's almost 40 years now. To understand Prince, it is important to recognize who he surrounded himself with during this period. The revolution was vital to his sound when he wanted to explore and work in a band setting, but the core of those around him were female, including his engineers, Peggy Leonard and Susan Rogers, and he gave all of them a vast amount of responsibility and power, at least within the limits that he permitted anyone to have control. And this is a quote from Susan Rogers. He needed to be the alpha male to get done what he needed to get done. He couldn't spend any mental energy battling with people for dominance or position. If you wanted your own way of doing things, you shouldn't be working for Prince. And women are, it's safe to say, more inclined to let a man lead. He also liked outsiders and liked feeling like one himself. There weren't many female technicians, so I was a rare bird, and he liked the rare birds. This is Peggy now. I think he gave women a chance. You had to empower yourself in that position. It's like with Wendy. He kept saying, learn to solo. He put pressure on you. He just opened the door. He just gave that space to you, and you better do with it what you want, what you could, or you would be gone. His days in the studio weren't always centered around making new music. I think this is actually a really important point that Duane makes in this book, and one that I hadn't really thought about until this week, because he's going back to a lot of songs and kind of polishing them, because I guess for the past, 2+ years, it's been a lot of, hit it and quit it in terms of being in the studio and mix, like starting the song and then mixing and mastering and all that. So it's been a really interesting week in 1985 for this. Sometimes entire days would be spent working on music that had already been recorded for various reasons. One of those reasons was when he decided he wanted to work with another artist. The Bangles were a band of 4 women based out of Los Angeles who'd released their debut album All Over the Place the previous May. And this is Apollonia. Prince and I both watched the Hero Takes a Fall video. Susanna Hoffs was wearing a maid outfit, and he went wild over her. I'm skipping the next 2 paragraphs. Prince really liked our first album, explained the band's guitarist, Vicki Peterson. He liked the song Hero Takes a Fall, which is a great compliment because we liked his music. He contacted us and said, I've got a couple of songs for you. I'd like to know if you're interested. And of course, we were. We were working with Peggy and David Leonard. So the Bangles were working with Peggy and David Leonard, a husband and wife engineer team who had done a lot of stuff with Prince, remembered Hoffs. Somehow word got to me to go to Sunset Sound and pick up the cassette from Prince. It was the old days of cassettes. I didn't actually see Prince that day because I don't know, either he wasn't there or he just wasn't coming out of the studio or something. The tape included Manic Monday, likely containing vocals by Apollonia 6, and a 1981 version of Jealous Girl containing Prince's vocals. And when she played the first track, Susanna immediately liked it. And we're talking about Susanna Hoffs, which is a different Susanna, just everybody know. It was cool. The title was really great. It just reminded me of Manic Depression, the Hendrix song, and had kind of a psychedelic thing. And then it had these great harmonies, and there were a lot of things about it where I just thought, this is a really good fit for the Bangles. So I'm grateful to him for giving us that song because it ended up being our first radio hit. Prince suggested to the group that they simply add their vocals to what he'd already recorded, but they respectively declined, according to Hoffs. I think when he first heard that we weren't going to, he was a little surprised, but I think in the end he liked it more because he admired the fact that we just did it our own way and changed it. Prince had to actually approve every note that was on that song, recalled Peggy, who engineered both the original session with Prince and the session with the Bangles. That's very interesting that Peggy engineered both sessions. I don't think he had given a song like that to anybody that he wasn't working with. The Bangles had David Kahn working on it, and Prince wasn't in the studio when they were cutting it. That was kind of his baby, and I think David Kahn made that song really poppy. When you listen to actually what Prince and I cut, it was a great song, but David Kahn made it sparkle. He really did. Vicki Peterson referred to it as a Banglification of a Prince arrangement. Before the song was released, she remembered that Prince visited the band while they were working on the arrangement for their tour. And I am going to read this. I have a memory of him coming to rehearsal, and I was very nervous when he walked in. It was just the 4 of us. We didn't have a keyboard player who sort of does that harpsichord figure. He wasn't there that day because we were just sort of working up the songs for a tour, and it was very rough and was very much the guitar version. And we played the song for him one time through. And I remember being really apologetic, like, well, we don't have the keyboards. And he goes, you don't need the keyboards. And then he goes, it's going to go. And then he walked out. And we're like, what does that mean? It's going to go. What did he mean? Who says these words and then leaves? Later in today's session, Prince also updated his vocals for All Day, All Night, which is one of my favorite songs ever, especially Jill Jones' version. Okay. A song that had been recorded live the previous summer. Additionally, he took 2 tracks from 1982 out of the vault, Can't Stop This Feeling I Got, and Don't Let Him Fool You, to the mix. America, which had been edited a few weeks earlier, was edited once again for an upcoming single release, but it's unlikely that this version was ever officially issued. The session ended just after 3 in the morning when 4 TDKC 60 cassette copies were created. Status, although Can't Stop This Feeling I Got, 2 minutes and 36 seconds, and Don't Let Him Fool You, 4 minutes and 31 seconds, were previously recorded. They were mixed on this date. Both tracks were released posthumously on the 1999 Super Deluxe Edition in 2019. He recorded Can't Stop This Feeling I Got for 1990's Graffiti Bridge masterpiece. I'm saying it all day, all night, 5 minutes and 35 seconds. Was eventually released on Jill Jones's debut album. The version with Prince's vocals remains unreleased. Manic Monday, 3 minutes and 3 seconds, would be featured on the Bangles' Different Light album released on January 2nd, 1986 as its lead single. The song peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 the week of April 19, with Prince's Kiss holding the number 1 position. Prince's own version of Manic Monday, 2 minutes and 51 seconds, was released on Originals in June 2019. This version of Jealous Girl remains unreleased. All right. Okay. So I got a couple things and then I want to let you respond. I disagree with Peggy's assessment. I can't remember what she said exactly about the Bangles having more sheen or something. What did she say? I find them to be very similar, Prince's version. And
yeah, she said it made it more poppy.
It made it more poppy. Okay, that's what she said. So I don't know about you. I'm curious. Like whenever I hear Manic Monday, I hear Brenda on backgrounds, but they claim that they re-recorded it. Am I not hearing Brenda?
Maybe they just re-recorded the music.
Okay.
And they left the vocals and left some of the tracks.
Yeah. Because every time I hear that, I don't know, I just hear Brenda's voice, because Brenda has a very distinctive voice. So like, what are your thoughts about Manic Monday, the Bangles version versus Prince's version?
Kind of like you. I will say this, for full transparency, I wasn't as into the concept of the originals at first. When they first came out, like when they were first, I was because
you're part of the banished one, C. Lee.
I know, right. And some of the reasons, and they were really lame reasons why. One was because I was like, I got a lot of these bootlegs, and then the second one was I just wanted something else. It wasn't that they were bad. I wanted live stuff. I was kind of at that time kind of burnt out on studio stuff, so I wanted live stuff. But I will say that again, these conversations. And oddly enough, remember you did that 5-week salon on Sign of the Times?
Mm-hmm.
Was it 5 weeks?
That was so much fun.
That's what brought me back to the originals, I think. And so I will say that I don't find them as different as what's being said here. I just think that Prince's vocal delivery gives us a different way of hearing the lyrics. And I think, and that's what both of those do for me, is that his vocal delivery gives me a different way of hearing the lyrics, which is a different way of hearing the poetry. And I also just want to add, I don't disagree with your love for Graffiti Bridge, but the first time I listened to Graffiti Bridge all the way through, that's when I understood why he did Ice Cream Castles and Purple Rain separately. I think that having Graffiti Bridge as a real traditional soundtrack may have confused some people and made the album sound fragmented to certain people. And so that's the only thing I want to say about Graffiti Bridge. I love it, but having it makes me understand. Is why I say Prince did the right thing the first time by having the Times album separate from his album Purple Rain. I'll shut up.
Just to follow up really quickly, the reason why I say that Graffiti Bridge is a masterpiece because of 2 songs. One is The Question of You,
mm-hmm.
and the other is Joy and Repetition.
Yeah.
And then don't even, start talking about Thieves in the Temple.
Yes.
And so like, I can understand like your critique of it as being quote unquote a soundtrack.
Right.
So I'm
no. I won't be clear. I want to be clear. I love it like you do,
mm-hmm.
but if you remember in real time, a lot of critics were saying it sounded disjointed and fragmented.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it was sounding disjointed and fragmented because they, in their minds, because I think even as late as then, people weren't making the connection that Prince was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that because they weren't making that, for them, a song like Thieves in the Temple sounded so different than, say, Release It. And so it kind of stopped and started for them. I love it that way. I love the album, but I'm just saying that hearing how the critics responded to it, it shows that Prince was correct doing it as far as popular, as far as sales, that doing it the way he did it the first time is why I think he got those negative critiques from the critics. That's what I think. And like I said, I like that. And there you go. Shake. There you go. Where the button at?
Hold on. Missed my cue.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm sorry, Prof. Dub. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I said there you go. That's what I wanted. So what about you, Michael Dean? Like Manic Monday, original?
You know, I was thinking about the time when this song came out. It was still, for me, it was still like the Minneapolis sound of Prince was still very heavy to me. So when I heard this, and I was like, and they come out and tell you off the top, this is Prince wrote this for them. I want to say it might have been one of the first times for me as a fan that I was introduced to a song that Prince made for somebody else. Because I didn't know he did the Time stuff at that time. So to me, I was like, wow. And I think the thing I walked away from it was, this doesn't sound anything like I thought it would sound like a Prince song. Sonically, at that time for me, it sounded so foreign to what I thought Prince was supposed to sound like. If somebody said this is going to be a Prince song, I just assumed. See, I probably, now I'm thinking, I would have assumed it was going to be more like a Sugar Waltz. Like a Sugar Waltz sound exactly what I would think Prince is supposed to sound like. Right. Talking about, of course, he wrote that. So for this, it threw me off, and I liked this. I was like, wow, this is a different style. But I like this. And at first, I didn't really pay much attention to the song, to be quite honest with you, because I just don't listen to that type of music at that time. But as I started listening to it, I was like, yo, I can hear the Prince in there. It's just a different, it was probably more reminded me of when I started getting into his earlier albums. I was like, I could hear him doing this. Okay. It wasn't the 1999 Purple Rain Prince that I was infatuated with at that particular moment. But I've always liked the song. I actually prefer their version than the Prince version, only because I think I've been indoctrinated with that. That was the first one that I heard, and I like it. And the video would play all the time. So I enjoyed it. I always thought it was dope. It was just one of those things where I was like, wow, he can do all kind of shit, and it would work. It wasn't like the Shaka Khan one where they were covering it and it still kept it within the realm of what I would expect it to sound like. This to me was a sonic overhaul that I was like, oh, okay. And it helped me ease me into at least understand a little bit of what he was getting ready to come out with and doing, like around the world and day and stuff like that.
So question for both of y'all. And for anybody in the chat, because I just don't remember. How soon was it that we knew? I remember we knew by the time it was on the charts, it was a Prince song. But does anybody remember how soon it was that we knew that Manic Monday was a Prince song? Like, I can't remember. Like when they were 1 and 2, right? When Kiss was 1, we knew then. But I'm trying to think how soon before that we know that Manic Monday was and I'm just doing it just my own chronological.
This is when we need Ricky, because Ricky is the one with the memory.
Yeah.
I will say this. It's really interesting. I was going to bring this up, but it's already coming up in the chat. So at the Pop Life Symposium during Arthur Turnbull's talk, he talked about how Take Me With You could have fit on Around the World in a Day. And like when I think of Take Me With You, I feel like Take Me With You and Manic Monday are sisters, brothers, and Brudu agrees with me as well. And then we have Kim saying that Manic Monday could have been on Around Rolling a Day. And then we also have Love Sexy 71 saying that the same Prince that wrote Raspberry Beret wrote Manic Monday. So he was writing all these songs, obviously around the same time. And I think it would have been really interesting if Take Me With You would have been on Around the World in a Day. What if Manic Monday, if he would have did a Kiss with the Bangles and took it back and put his version of Manic Monday and Take Me With You on Around the World in a Day? I think
this song is too good for y'all.
Yes. I think it would have been really interesting. I don't know what we would take off to put those two songs on, but I do think they kind of is a vibe, as the kids say today.
I wonder if it would have. I wonder if it would have been a big song if Prince had put it out. I think it would have just been an album cut, personally. But
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
but then again, I could see. I could have seen the Bangles with a few lyric change. I could have seen them doing Raspberry Beret.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I call all of them what I call my Prince whimsical songs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They fit under those kind of whimsical kind of songs, and so yeah, so I agree with what everybody's saying is that they're from the same root, they're from the same, they're from that same. When I love to talk about the pie chart and the different slices in the pie chart. So they're all from that whimsical slice on the pie chart, right?
From that whimsical pop bag.
There you go. Exactly. Exactly.
I love this Chris Bournet. Prince got that Duran Duran money with the Bangles.
Right. He got it boarding with the family. He sure did.
I wonder if that was that the play? Was that basically like, yeah, I'm gonna put the white dude out, then I got the white girls, they about to do my song. I'm about to clean up.
I think he's probably saying that I gotta pay for Paisley Park.
Hey Kim, don't take my black card. When I was a kid, I used to like the Monkeys reruns. So don't take
I'm right there with you.
Don't take my black. Look, the Monkeys and then the Partridge Family. Man, look. If y'all ain't seen the Partridge Family and the Monkeys, you ain't.
What'd you call it? What's it called?
Look how proud of looking. Look how she looking.
See, what'd you call it?
Okay.
What's it called?
I'm down this Partridge Family hill.
The Partridge Family?
You never seen the Partridge Family?
I seen the Partridge Family.
Yeah, oh, my bad. The Partridge Family. My bad.
You're so
my bad. Thank you for straightening me out, Brother D.
Okay. Let's see. Who's gonna read Saturday? It's super short, extremely short.
I can do it.
Okay.
Oh, that's very short. Saturday. Thank you. Good night. Unknown tracks, possibly Manic Monday, and Jealous Girl, listening session. Sunset Sound Studio 3. Wow, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Booked, locked out. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Peggy Mac, Leonard. Do the quote.
Skip it. Here we go. This one's deep now. It was going to be getting busy. It is possible that Manic Monday and Jealous Girl were reviewed by Prince on this date before they were given to the Bangles. There you go. All right. So because we are like really over, I'm going to skip a lot of stuff for this week. But the one thing that I don't want to skip is I want to make sure that everyone is aware of Michael Dean's new album review on his channel, the Parade album review. And I also added it to the accompanying playlist if I did that correctly. If not, I'll make sure that I added it. And don't forget that Celebration is coming up. So make sure you get your tickets if you're going. And then don't forget that Des Dickerson is still in need. So contribute to his GoFundMe. And I don't, it's like there's like financial issues and health issues. I saw that it says. So I don't quite know. But obviously you want to support Des. And then there is an accompanying playlist that I'll add some more songs to, like The Mother's Finest, and try to find the Too Rough and all that kind of stuff. Kim is saying no tagging Podcast Juice on Insta.
I don't know what that means.
Meaning like you can't like if you want to share it, like, or tag you in a post, that you can't tag Podcast Juice on Instagram.
All right.
You might just want to look into it unless you don't want to be tagged, which is a whole nother thing. All right. So Michael Dean, do you want to take us out?
Oh, we over.
Yeah, we're over so that Kim could go to her wedding and spend time in the mountains and in North Carolina, even though it might still be raining.
Gotcha. Well, once again, thank you, Celie. Thank you, D'Angela. Thank you, Ricky, who had to jump out a little early. And thank everyone in the comments. and everyone who watches this later, who doesn't watch it live, we appreciate it. I've been seeing a few comments. People say, man, I always miss the live, but we appreciate that you at least watch the playback. So you're still a part of the game.
Before you take us out, can I say something?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I meant to say this. I do need to say this because a lot of times we get passionate. I want people to know that Brother Lee Christian and I email each other all the time. So I don't want people to think that when Brother Lee Christian and I are going back and forth in the chat, that it's personal and that we don't like each other. Trust me, you should see the emails between Brother Lee Christian and I. And just so you know, if I don't respect you or I don't, think that you're bringing something, I'm not going to spend that much time with you. That's why I love talking to Brother Lee Christian and other folks. So I want people to know I've known Brother Lee Christian for a while now. He and I go back and forth in email all the time. That's a good dude. That's a good brother. We may disagree on some things, but I respect and appreciate everything Brother Lee Christian does. So I just want to say that. And then now, Brother Dean, sorry about that, but I wanted to do that before we got off.
Yeah, salute to Lee Christian. It's all love. Absolutely. Yes, we debate the music, but we don't hate each other. It's okay to have different opinions, and because we love this stuff so much is why we have these conversations. And this is a safe place. This is our home. This is Prince's home. This is the community. So we're all here as a family. With that said, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.